Connery Curious.
Saga, Last Crusade, You Only Live Twice, and the Anderson Tapes, Murder on the Orient Express.
You never know what the wheel's gonna spin next. Marty and a woman of straw, and a wounded man in Africa. We are curious of the filmography of Sir Sean Connery.
Mario Lima.
Dylan Titus.
How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well today. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well.
Hell yeah.
Another episode here, just you and I in the proving ground.
Just
not
us.
to be surprised by it. Jesus Christ!
Oh! Who let this guy in here? Jesus.
Whoa! Who are you?
I just woke up one day and I was here.
Whoa!
Heavy, man.
Void.
It's like one of those things where you black out and you just like don't really know how, like a dream. Like you don't really know how you got there. You're just there.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll do some fancy edit where it zooms out to reveal that you're
Whoa!
there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's how we've been doing it so
Yeah.
far in the proving ground. It's like, oh no, a surprise guest. There's no way to like.
Oh, how could we possibly have imagined that?
Because all the people probably avoided the thumbnail of the video and probably were like, there's no way to have a third person there. That'd be crazy.
And I'm going to include the previous bit
Yeah.
of conversation that we had and then cut into it. So it's like,
They're going to see, episode whatever featuring Aaron, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I thought they were going to have a guest. I guess they don't." Whoa! They'll be just as surprised as you guys were.
They'll never know.
well, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Aaron Frank, and I'm very happy to be here discussing what I had a lot of fun watching, which is yet another Sean Connery movie.
Ooh, another Sean Connery
Why would
movie.
he be watching a Sean Connery movie, Mario?
I think it's because this is Connery Curious, the podcast where each week myself, Dylan Titus, and sometimes a guest go through every single film in the massive filmography of the late, great Sir Sean Connery.
Yeah, dwindling.
Dwindling, yeah. And
It is massive, though. That thing's done a lot of movies.
oh my God, yeah. So we didn't realize, I think, we talk about a lot in the show, that like this podcast, at first we're kind of like, oh, we love James Bond so much and we love Sean Connery. Let's watch all his movies, but we didn't realize how many.
Yeah.
And then how many that we would like more than Bond movies.
Right.
There's so
and
many
some go on to be some of our favorites.
of all time. Like
is great.
it's insane. But this week we're continuing our journey with
1999's Entrapment, starring Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
yes.
And who else do we have in the cast? We got
Ving Rhames.
Oh, Ving
in this
Rhames.
That was
movie.
very exciting.
Yes.
I was excited to see him.
A bunch of names that you probably won't recognize, but Ving Rhames, I was like, this dude is in this? And
Will Patton.
Yes, Will Patton. I really hate his character in the movie, so that's good.
He is pretty unlikable.
Yeah, very much
yeah.
so. He like does all three of like the shitty toxic workplace things within the first 12 minutes of the movie. You know, he's like
He asks
hitting
her
on the
out.
female
Yeah.
colleague. He asks her out. You know, he's like not listening to her when she tells him she knows what she's talking about, and he's like leaning over her shoulder, like trying to tell her how to do her job. And it's like, dude, you would literally be like the poster child for toxic workplace culture in 2024.
Well, I mean, we could introduce you to some other characters in the films we've watched on this podcast for sure. There's some bad ones.
Yeah, like I was listening to the episode with Sean Murphy. What was the name?
Zardoz.
I couldn't help but laugh when I saw the thumbnail, and I was like, oh, it's that fucking movie. And like you see the picture of Connery like looking unhinged in like the loincloth, basically. I was like, wow, all right, this is gonna be fun.
It's a fun movie, though.
It's
Well, maybe
insane.
not fun, but like it's
I do
good.
have to go back and watch it.
Fun if you're under the influence of certain cannabises.
Yeah, it definitely helps to be.
Because I
to be stoned
rewatched
watching
like half of it not too long ago. I just happened to see it somewhere for free, like to like watch on streaming, and I was like, let me just pop it on in the background, and like I was like, holy shit, this movie's insane. Because like I got to the part with all the reflections and everything. You know, you cut that great.
Oh, the Bond.
You made
intro.
into a Bond intro, and like
Yeah.
that's such a that scene itself is just such a cool thing about that movie. But like, yeah, there's a lot of weird shit in it. But if you get past the weird shit, it's a fun time. It's a really.
I had a fun time watching Stardust. It helped that we watched it with Sean
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
at like 10 at night. We didn't start
Yes.
podcasting till maybe like 11.
Yeah, we were there.
Sean is a good dude to watch a movie with. Like,
Yes, he is.
He and I and John Staten, of course, we've spent a lot of time like watching.
Shout out to Sean and John.
Sean and John, my dudes, two of my bandmates.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so I played a band with Sean and John and Christian Staten called No Plateau. And
yeah. Woo.
you know, it's funny that you mentioned in the episode that Sean was on that one of your favorite local albums was our album No One But Me. And as I was driving up here and like listening to the end of that episode, I switched on Sean's other band, Nobody's Boy Scout, because their album In Tongues is actually my favorite local album.
Really?
I listen to that I listen to it way more than No Plateau, but I just really love that album.
I love that record. He did a great job on that.
Sean, he has the gift of being a phenomenal lyricist and songwriter, and like I can
Unique,
think for
very
days,
unique lyrics.
Yeah, I'll obsess over one song. Like I've written the lyrics for maybe 3-ish No Plateau songs, and it took a lot of effort. I feel like it took me the same amount of effort to write 3 of those as it takes Sean to write 30 verifiable hits. You know what I mean? Like he's just got whatever it is, whatever it takes. So I've been thankful to be in a band with him all these years.
He and I went on a business trip recently, and we rented a car, and he was just like, we were showing each other tunes we were working on, and it was easily a 30-to-1 ratio of like, oh, let me show you another one I'm working on. I'm like, don't you have kids? What do you?
I know, right?
I don't have kids, and it's taken me like 4 years to work on one piece of music.
Right. That's just what he likes to do, is just sit around and write songs. And like, I think that's awesome because that's how you get good at shit, you know? Like, nobody's just born being good at things. Even if you have natural talent, it's the repetition of doing it over and over and over and over again to get good at something.
And you write bad ones first.
Yeah, and you write a lot of bad ones, and sometimes you learn from the bad ones that you write, and you can write even better ones. And like, I was, not to sidetrack us too much into songwriting, but like, I saw some TikTok video today of Rick Rubin talking about writing with Tom Petty. And he was like, this dude has written so many good songs and albums over the years that when we sat down to record, we recorded all of the music with no lyrics. And we got those like magnets, like the poetry blocks that go on your fridge with all the different names. And we took all the filler words out, and he just put them up on like a music stand, and we would play the song, and he would just sing a song and write it like as it went, looking at these words and just like write a song off the top of his head, and it would be like a number 1 song 2 years later. I'm like, that's what happens when you write 5 billion songs over and over and over again. You just get better and better at it. I feel like Sean's hitting that Tom Petty point because he just doesn't write anything but amazing songs, in my opinion.
Hell yeah! Shout out to Sean, man. He's a
Big shout out.
like.
Aren't we supposed to be talking about a different Sean?
No,
Sean Murphy. We're gonna
our
call
Lord and Savior, Sean Murphy.
What
This
you
is
should
Murphy
do
Curious.
you should title this specific episode Murphy Curious.
Okay, Murphy Curious. Welcome, Mario Lima.
Dylan Titus.
Welcome to another episode of Murphy Curious.
We got to get on together. If you'll have us, I'd love to
You
get
and
on
Sean?
Sean and I together.
Of course, and let's
on
get
an
John
episode.
on here too.
Yeah, let's get on there.
And
We gotta
Christian.
invite
You know what?
Why
Let's
not?
get the whole
We get
band.
the whole band
One
in
episode
here.
with no plateau. Hold
Maybe
on.
the-
Let's see what episodes we've got left. Let's get that on the books now.
They should be the musical guest for Sir Billy.
And it also helps that we haven't all been together in quite some time, because like we've all had like adult life things going on. So like we haven't gotten together to practice or play together in a while. So it'll be the first time all 4 of us have been in a room together for like many months.
Well,
So
look
it'll
at
be
that.
funny.
Look at that.
All right. Well, maybe we can get it.
We could curate the reunion.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
exactly. And get a writing session started, and we just,
Yeah.
you know what?
We'll do a
Hit
song.
record.
There you go.
We'll write an outro for you guys. You got a nice theme. Maybe we'll throw an outro.
Well, we do have an
together real
outro.
quick. Oh,
It's just like a lighter
true.
version of the
Yeah.
theme with him, promoting our social medias and
that's
such,
right. That's
and Patreon and all that
Yes,
good
yeah.
stuff. So there's the list of what we've got left.
All right.
If something interests you that you think all of you guys should do, let us know. And I'll let you know if we already have a guest for
What's
it.
the one Sean's coming back for?
Highlander 2
Oh my God, we could do that
I
one.
think that could.
That's
be
a great one.
as the band episode.
We could.
Okay.
We
Okay.
could.
And we'll all watch it here in the
It's
theater.
a rock and roll movie.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
We'll probably
Stuart
have
Copeland does this.
to push it for a month or 2 due to upcoming commitments.
Of course.
But
He's got
I'm
it.
sure we can.
By
figure
the
something
time
out.
this episode comes out, that upcoming commitment of Sean's will have arrived.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it will. That is arriving.
Congratulations,
and
Sean, by the way.
congratulations, Yeah.
Because by now you will be a 3-time around father.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you.
Third time's a charm.
Exactly.
That's crazy to think, man.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny to be like at the age where like your friends are starting to like do adult stuff on purpose. Like it's not an accident that they've got kids and have a house and are married. And
Yeah, he was
things like
talking to me
that.
about his house stuff today. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I remember we were smoking pot together in college.
I know. It's like hanging out at jam stage in the middle of the night is like a very different vibe than like, you know, mowing your stupid lawn on a Sunday. Like I hate mowing the lawn, but I have to.
But
'cause
it's
I have
your
a house,
lawn.
You know, it is. It is
Yeah.
my lawn. It's just too expensive to hire somebody to come and mow it for me, so I have to do it.
Are you a homeowner at this point?
I am, yeah.
Alright,
We bought a
congratulations.
house a few years ago, and to be honest, it was just because it was cheaper, to be honest, than renting places. Like
Yeah.
we found we got it. We were in a really good situation. I won't lie. Like we had help from my in-laws, and we also like we're at the best point of interest rates in the past 5 years. So it was like the lowest interest rate that we'll probably see for like 15 years. And like our mortgage payment is less than what we were seeing like apartment rentals for. So we kind of wanted to hold off, but we were like, I don't know. I think we just have to bite the bullet and do it. And I'm thankful we did because it ended up being like a much better situation. And like the interest rates were in the 3s and now they're in like the 7s or 8s. And like we couldn't afford our house, the same house, if we were to buy it today.
Yeah.
Than, 3 years ago. So I'm thankful for that. But like mowing the lawn was my childhood chore, so I'm just like salty that I was like, oh, when I grow up, I'll never mow the fucking lawn again, and here I am every fucking Sunday afternoon. You know what I mean? Mowing the lawn.
Son of a bitch.
That's just how growing up goes, I guess.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, you know what sent those mortgage rates into such crazy fluctuation would be that darn Y2K bug.
Yes, it is. I think that had a big part to play in it, and that seems to be the subject of our movie.
Indeed. Well, let's get to it now. I think 1999's Entrapment.
Yeah. So I prepared a little bit of a note here about
That's
1999. Because
Do
I don't know
tell.
if you know this. I'm sure you do because you guys are such big movie fans. But 1999 was like the biggest fucking year for movies.
It was a
ever.
huge year for movies.
Ever. So it had some of the biggest hits and some of the biggest duds.
You've obviously got The Phantom Menace
Yes, The
representing.
Phantom Menace.
That was the biggest movie of the year, right?
I thought so.
Yeah.
But listen to this. The Green Mile.
Wow.
007, The World Is Not Enough.
Hot diggity.
One of my favorites, different category. Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo. 1999.
Wait, that's one of your favorites?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that movie is hilarious. I love that movie. It's dumb. It's not good, but that's okay. I still
Yeah.
like it.
Oh, we've seen some dumb
Yeah.
movies that aren't good, but
And that's
they
what
are
we-
good. Or they're dumb, but they are good.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's another thing I wanted
yeah.
to talk about. But Big Daddy, 10 Things
wow.
I Hate
I
About
like
You.
Big Daddy.
American Beauty, The Phantom Menace, of course, Any Given Sunday, American Pie, Varsity Blues, Cruel Intentions, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Boondock Saints, Girl Interrupted, Sixth Sense, Office Space, The Matrix, Blair Witch Project, Stuart Little, Pokemon the Movie, 2000.
Oh my God.
All of those movies were released in 1999. Has there ever been a better year for movies?
That's a good year. man.
1989.
I'm sure it was. I don't have a list.
Last
prepared for
Crusade,
1980.
Batman,
Oh my God. Michael
License
Keaton
to
Batman,
Kill,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. That was like a staple of my childhood. That one and then Batman and Robin with like Arnold,
Oh,
like
yeah. That's
the
a fun
George
one.
Clooney like caricature one.
We watched Batman Forever a lot more in my household.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
Val Kilmer one.
I remember that one too. That was a good one.
It hadn't gone entirely camp, so it was still like a
Right.
warmth to it.
Is that the one that's I'll get drive-through?
Yes.
That
Yes.
is, yeah. I'll
Yes,
get
it is.
drive-through.
That was
drive-through.
it was
he
so
pulls
good.
up. He pulls up Flask. Batman Begins. He pulls up the big guy and like, hey, you call that falafel? He gets yanked up. I'll get drive-through.
And it's funny to me how Batman and Robin was actually much closer to like Adam West Batman than it was
Yeah.
like modern movie Batmans and like the style and everything that it was. So like I loved that movie too, but like my overall assessment of Entrapment is that it was hindered by how good all of the rest of the movies in 1999 were.
I can agree.
It lowers the status of it. And the other thing is, even though I would say the movie wasn't great, it wasn't a 10 out of 10, like, Rotten Tomatoes 100% score, I still really liked it. And that was a point that I wanted to make, is that I don't think a movie has to be good to be likable.
Oh,
Like it
not
doesn't
at
have
all.
to be a great movie to be something that you love. So I thought that was like my overall assessment. Like it was very nostalgic. It was fun. Like I liked watching it. I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't a 10 out of 10 best movie. Like Sean Connery could have theoretically not been in this movie. Obviously, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yes, it could have been somebody else. Who would it have been if it wasn't Sean Connery?
It could have been Pierce Brosnan, who was starring in The World Is Not Enough.
Yeah.
I think he would have played it too smarmy.
Maybe. That's probably true. I think the big thing is the age gap between the two of them in this movie made it a little difficult to believe like the love interest storyline. Because like we were talking about, he was 69 in this movie and she was 30. So I'm thinking somebody needs to be like in his 50s to be like
that's
that,
what I'm thinking right now.
character.
Like who was in their 50s around then?
I don't know. He wasn't at the time, but like a George Clooney type character. I'm going to Google it. Is that allowed?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little odd, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's fucking Sean Connery. You know what I mean?
It is. I mean, he can do anything. Like, he's a good enough actor that he didn't give a bad performance.
Oh, not at all. No, I liked him a lot in this movie.
Yeah, he was very good in the movie. You know, rule number one, if you're gonna don't bring a gun because you might have to use it. You know, it's like it was classic. Like, was it Indiana Jones? No, but like he turned in a solid Sean Connery performance for sure.
Should I get into the Wikipedia?
Yeah,
Let's do the ratings. Let's look at what the ratings.
Yeah, what's Rotten Tomatoes actually say about this movie?
Mario, you want to read the Rotten Tomatoes?
Let's see. So we have let's see. I feel like I'm doing an eye test. We have a tomato meter of 40%, but the audience gave it 10% more with a 50%. Now, gentlemen, do we agree with these ratings?
That's lower than I thought they would have
Yeah,
given.
IMDb gives it a 6.3.
That's closer to what I would have said. I
Yeah.
think this movie's somewhere between a 6 and a 7 for me. Like, on face value. I think I liked it like an 8. Like, if I'm going by how much I liked it, you know.
Yeah. We'll do our definitive number ratings at the end, but I think I'm leaning more towards the IMDb side.
Yeah.
Same here, yeah. Absolutely.
And again, I think it was hindered by its context because it was released in the midst of a bunch of just phenomenal movies in 1999.
Yeah.
And so I think by comparison, if you look at the other contemporaries, it's like not quite as good.
Okay, should I read the Wikipedia? And that gives us like talking points to refresh us on the film.
Hit us with it.
All right. Oh, wait. Trailer voice. It's been a bit.
Insurance investigator Virginia Baker deems that the thief, Robert McDougal, has robbed a Rembrandt painting. To retrieve the painting, she poses as an art thief, cooperating with him in criminal acts.
Acts. It's doing that thing from Strawberry Fields Forever, where it fades back in, you know. Anyway. Virginia Gin Baker is an investigator for Waverly Insurance. When a priceless Rembrandt painting is stolen from an office building in New York one night, Gin pursues Robert Mac McDougal as a suspect, believing him to be a longtime professional thief specializing in international art. Mac quickly deduces that Gin is investigating him and confronts her. She claims that she is also a thief and proposes she help him steal a priceless Chinese mask from the well-guarded Bedford Palace. Mac agrees and brings Gin to his isolated castle on a Scottish island to plan and train for the heist. Aaron Thibodeau, Ving Rhames, apparently the only ally that Mac trusts, arrives with supplies for the theft. Mac, unsure of Jin's motives, keeps her romantic advances at bay, and they clash repeatedly as they train and prepare.
Wow. I'd say that about sums it up.
Yeah.
That's the movie right there. I thought so.
That's the whole movie. That's it.
That's the movie.
It's time to prepare. Who's credits? Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Dun dun.
I thought it was very cute. I don't know if you guys notice it when we see them breaking into the office building and beginning. The code that's used is 1007.
Yes, you did actually see 007, but it's probably about half a second.
Isn't that very cute?
Which code? Into which building?
It's in the beginning, in the New York office.
When she is dropping down?
Yeah, when it's her.
Okay.
But like,
that was so fucking cool.
But like, yeah, but
very good.
I think it's just the code to get into the safer, into the room itself. I remember a code was used. They had like the device that was showing the numbers, and it came up 1007. 007. I was like, that's kind of a nice little nod.
That's a good nod.
Wow.
You know,
I like that.
to Bond.
That's a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah,
Wow.
because you could have easily, like, I mean, we get a nice nod too with him in the tux later.
Yes.
Of course.
That was cool
I
to
thought
see.
the opening itself was kind of a nod to GoldenEye.
The whole scene where she's breaking in.
Well, specifically the opening where Bond rappels off the dam
Yeah.
in GoldenEye. I feel like the building, her rappelling down the building, was very GoldenEye.
It reminds me of the very first scene after the title sequence in No Time to Die as well, when they're
Yes,
coming
yes.
down. They kind of remind me of that a little bit too. Cause they drill into the hallway, right? Yeah, they like get the suction cups.
Yeah.
And they make a hole. Like I love that shit in movies, man.
Oh,
where
the
they're, like,
shot that
Yeah.
rotates. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're cutting the glass and they pull it out. Like
Yeah.
it's such cool shit.
This
man.
movie had that. It had like every aspect or every element that you would expect in like a late 90s, early 2000s action movie. It had rappelling. It had broken windows. It had
That bro, oh my god, the window
yeah.
pop. Oh my god, so cool, so cool.
It had the elevator shaft. It had them hanging and swinging from the rope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had the "you go, I'll stay behind." Like every single aspect. It was like it was like Die Hard and Mission Impossible and like
Ethan.
Threat Level Midnight had a baby. You know what I mean?
Threat level midnight. So you just said?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like The Office. You
I
know what
love
mean?
it. I love it.
Like that fake movie is like, to me, Michael Scott had Entrapment in his mind
Yeah.
when he was putting Threat Level Midnight together, because it's Catherine Zeta-Jones, it's Sean Connery, it's like all of those aspects of that movie are like the typical action movie of the time, and like that's part of why I loved it so much. It reminds me of like nostalgic action movies that I would watch with my dad growing up, you know what I mean? And it's like very much brought me back to that time frame of my life, which I thought was cool about it. It's funny, the Y2K bug, everybody's freaking out. Like, oh my God, the Millennium Bug, everything's going to go crazy. And, here we are almost 25 fucking years later, and
Yeah.
it was like a blip on the radar.
Yeah, I was 7, so I wouldn't have,
Yeah.
like, it wouldn't have even been, my brain would have been, the clocks are going to reset. That's okay, I only just
Yeah.
learned them a couple of years ago. It won't
Right.
take me that long to relearn them.
I was like 8 or 9, I think. But it's just funny to me. But, I mean, the movie itself, I thought, like, they hit all of it felt like they were on a checklist of like, all right, what do we need in an action movie? We need heists. We need, what's the name? Like an electronics technical guy in Thibodeau.
You said Mission Impossible. This movie does draw a lot from the first Mission
It
Impossible.
really does.
Especially with the casting of Ving Rhames as Luther.
Yeah.
Luther Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
Ethan.
And he's got, like, he tries to get some one-liners in there, like, oh, Thibodeau don't play that. It's like, dude, there's not going to be an Entrapment 2. Like,
Thibodeau don't play, Ethan. I mean, Mac.
He was like War Machine at the end
Benji.
of the first Iron Man movie. Next time, baby. He was ready to go. He was ready to go for Entrapment 2.
Good. I'm so glad they didn't bring him back. The Marvel Universe would have floundered if they brought back Terrence Howard. I don't.
Yeah, because Shield's been doing awesome, man. I'm excited for Armor Wars and all that stuff.
Is that happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's been tossed up. They're like, oh, we're going to do a TV show. We're going to do a movie, which is like, seems like everything is kind of juggling that way ever since, what's-his-name came back to Disney, CEO. He's like, he cleaned the mess up of like, all right, we're not doing 5 Marvel things in a year. We'll do 2.
Yeah.
This past year, all we had was Wolverine and Deadpool.
And
you know what I
X-Men.
mean? And X-Men 97, but like I'm saying, like live action.
Yeah.
Just give us one movie, give us a little TV show. I mean, fuck, do cartoons. X-Men 97 was the best thing Marvel put out this year.
I still need to watch it.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. So good.
I still haven't seen Deadpool Wolverine yet.
Oh,
Okay, we
you'll
won't
love
spoil
that.
it.
You'll
I
love
was
it.
so you said that you're like, I felt like I just got born here, and I'm like, I was about to make a Deadpool Wolverine reference,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I didn't because I didn't know if you.
There you go. I've seen the other Deadpools, but not that one, of course,
Oh,
yeah.
this one's a whole other level, man. It's crazy. What a film.
Yeah,
film.
I loved in Deadpool and Wolverine when they fight on top of the reactor, and his Deadpool's eyes are shooting beams and such, and
That
he's
was
teleporting.
It's good, cool.
It's a
moment.
good, yeah.
Yeah, and then Gambit was there for some reason. He
Yeah.
said, "Miss me."
And he flies a plane.
Every watch.
me Blob? That's a movie that came out like 16 years ago.
Origins. Remember Origins? I don't want to remember Origins.
Okay, so Nicole
Let's
and I
not.
started watching it in here the other day.
Why?
Because I wanted to.
He was like, oh, like watching. That movie has fun things in it.
Oh, for sure. Well,
The beginning is really cool when I go through all the time periods.
So I
Well,
had wanted to watch that or X-Men '97. I just wanted like something cartoonish, and I pitched it to her. I'm like, "What would you rather watch?" And she said Wolverine, and I'm like, "Okay, it's not great." She's like, "Okay, how is it not great?" I'm like, "Okay, you'll see." And then we started watching it. I told him like the opening's amazing, but the rest of
You
it's
could have
not.
put on X2.
And as we're watching it, she's like, "This is amazing." So
Right,
I'm
well,
like, yeah,
obviously you're not
it's-
reading that far into it, okay? But trust me, it's bad.
It's gonna get goofy as hell.
You ever feel like you have to convince someone a movie is bad? Like you're watching it, like you just described.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, this is great. I'm like, no, really, you need to pay closer attention because this movie sucks.
Watch Sword of the Valiant. It's not good, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like amazingly bad, but also really good. Like genuine effort gets put into it.
I love that concept. That was like one of the things I wrote down to talk about. It's like I love the idea of like a movie not having to be good, like to be like. So like I wore this this shirt, which is a little bit of an inside joke between my wife and I, and this is so in the movie Twilight. There's a throwaway line that Jacob says, and he goes, "Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca?" Because like he hadn't seen her for a while,
yeah, so
and
Loca?
it's so dumb. Yeah, he calls her Loca for some reason,
but
like
so he starts the sentence with her name and ends the sentence with her name.
with a nickname.
Okay.
Of Loca, or he's trying to call her crazy, but he's Native American. He's not Spanish at all. Like, so like it's just a silly, dumb line. And so obviously I was not a teenage girl when Twilight was coming out, so it wasn't really a thing for me, but my wife was, and she loved it. And one of the things that I kind of love about Twilight is that nobody hates Twilight more than people who love Twilight. It's really true, honestly. And a couple years ago, we took a trip for many reasons, but we found ourselves in Forks, Washington State, because that's where the Olympic rainforest is and the Olympic National Park. And it's also where Twilight is set. And my wife was a huge fan. And so, like, we did all the little, like, touristy things. And I wore the shirt, like, to kind of play along with her and, like, you know, be in on it a little bit. And she had me watch all the movies, and I was like, you know what? I kind of appreciate the fact that these are not good, and everybody is still like in love with them. Like if you are a Twilight fan, you know the movies are bad, and you don't like the movies, but you still love the movies, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just think there's something endearing about that. Like we as a fan base fucking hate these movies, but we also love them. Only we can hate them, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. So yeah, if somebody who hasn't seen them shits on them because they're Twilight,
Yeah.
it's like, whoa.
It's like, no.
At least watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
saw
then
the
have
first
real
one.
criticisms. If you're gonna watch it, have real criticisms about it, like silly throwaway lines or how like the movies are all different colors. Like everyone is color graded entirely
Yeah.
different. The first one is totally blue. The second one's
Yeah,
like
it's
orange.
blue and white, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's bad. The
I-
cinematography is not good.
I remember watching the first one with my girlfriend at the time in high school. Quick backstory: this used to be my high school.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, I've told everyone that. Go back and listen to past episodes, folks. But yeah, I remember watching the first one, and that's it.
Yeah.
They get crazy, like just crazy. Like the stories get interesting, but like
It's just like off the wall because like after the first one, it's like, well, what else are you gonna write about? You know. So there's like this whole they expand the universe of vampires to many different vampires, and there's like a vampire government of
And a
sorts,
war, right?
and like a war that happens, and then like there's this one scene that I won't spoil for anybody who hasn't seen it, like towards one of
Go
the
ahead.
later movies.
They're older movies.
Okay, so towards the end of the series of movies, I can't remember. My wife's going to be mad at me because she's made me watch them so many times, and I still can't remember which one is which.
Breaking Dawn, I think.
Maybe,
is
but
the
there's
last one.
That's what
like
happened
this-
in that debate.
this
Whoa.
sort of like a big confrontation, you know what I mean? They're like kind of meeting on the battlefield between like the two different sides of like the vampires and like our little scraggly crew who's like got their werewolf friends to like come fight evil and shit. Yeah, exactly. It's like the Scooby-Doo of vampires and werewolves. So they get on this battlefield, and this is not part of the book, but like part of it is, but one of the girls like has visions if she touches you. So she goes up and she's trying to convince the head vampire that like things will be bad, and she like touches him, and all of a sudden there's this huge fight that breaks out, and like they chop the vampire's head off, and there's like everybody screaming. And my wife said that as a teenage girl watching this in the theater, that whole fight was not in the books. And so all of a sudden this vampire character that everybody loved from the books was just decapitated, and they play it like this is actually happening in the movie. They don't reveal that it's a vision until afterwards. It's kind of like one of those, oh, I woke up in a dream from a dream situation. Oh, it was all a dream.
Yeah.
And so like an entire theater full of like 13-year-old girls is like losing their minds and crying and screaming like, no, they killed so and so, this is what happens in the books, and then like it snaps back to reality and it's all a vision. They were like, haha, gotcha. And I just like, I fucking love that. Like, who really does that in a book-based movie with such a die-hard fan base? Like, that's not a good directorial decision to make, to do something like that, but it worked, and everybody will remember that forever now.
Oh, yeah,
it's like one of those little
I mean, the
gotcha
same
moments.
thing kind of got done with From Russia with Love, right?
A little bit.
That
It's been a long time since I've seen that
Well,
one.
the intro to From Russia with Love is this fake out that, oh no, he's killed James Bond. It's a guy in a mask. That's not in the book. So imagine you've read the book and you're like, I liked this book. Though, have you read the book From Russia with Love, either of you?
No.
Like the first third of the book is just Russians plotting the plot of the book. Literally just going like, here's the setup here's the story, here's the plot, and here's how we're gonna do it, and all the details, you know how everything's gonna play out. Here it goes. And it's kind of exhilarating.
So they just explain the whole premise of the book in like the beginning of it?
Yeah, and actually there's a line in the movie that deals with that exact thing. Like, Bond says something like, M's telling him, like, you got to go get the Lecter and whatnot. Bond's basically says something to the effect of, it sounds like a trap. And he's like, M goes, yeah, we know. We're just going to see how it goes. Like, we know it's a trap. We're going to see if we can, by snapping their trap, we're going to see if we can grab them. Like, by pretending oh no, they've fallen for the trap, and they come out, gotcha. Wow. Like, kind of that mentality.
Kind of like in Guardians of the Galaxy. Have you guys seen the newest one?
Oh, yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Where Star-Lord's like, it's not a trap, it's a face-off. If you know it's a trap, it's not a trap, it's a face-off.
Exactly.
And then they get there and it's a trap.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much what From Russia with Love is. It's a face-off.
Yeah.
So the first third or half or so of the book is just setting up, here's the stakes in the face-off. Or here's the stakes that will culminate in a face-off. There you go. And you know the whole plot, and you're just waiting for these two elements to come together, James Bond and Reb Grant.
That's kind of funny. It's funny how different the storytelling is in a book like that versus in a movie. You know what I mean? Because like a book, people will sit and like over the course of a month read a book little by little, and like they have time for all of those details. But in a film, especially a James Bond film, you've got like 30 seconds in the beginning to catch everybody's attention, and if you lose it, you're done.
Well, that gun barrel carries a lot of weight for sure.
But that's why I stress this all the time. TV works better for certain things because like they just put on the news the other day. They're open casting for the new Harry, Ron, and Hermione for the new HBO series.
Oh,
so they have these kids that we're gonna watch them grow up like we did with the originals.
But see, the thing, TV now takes a lot longer to produce. Those kids are gonna grow up real fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
like they started filming Chamber of Secrets the day after Sorcerer's Stone premiered.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's
because
crazy.
they're like, we got to get these kids on film before they're adults.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but I think they can get away with this. They get the right, that's why they're casting out the right amount of kids. The story's there. All the books are there.
I'm not looking forward to this.
I am looking forward to it because I think it's going to be. We talk about difference between books and movies, and that's something that my wife's a huge Potterhead, and
yeah, she's always stoned.
Yeah.
She's always Sorcerer's Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone.
Hey.
But one of the big complaints always is like, oh, this has happened in the book. This would have happened differently here and there. But then I read the books with her, and I said, okay, yeah, the reason they probably cut this out, it's kind of hard to recreate in film, where they have to condense into 2 hours. Sometimes 2.5
I think
hours.
was the longest one, 2.5 maybe.
Yeah,
That's
so that's
crazy.
why you do it. You do a bunch of series with you start with Sorcerer's Stone in season 1, then Chamber, so on and so forth. I think you're gonna have way better stuff. If it's HBO Max, you can get a little darker. I mean, I know the last movies are really dark, but like you can get darker. You can get
They
the cool.
fuck in this one.
Yeah, give me the cool.
Not
details.
the kids, the professors.
We got
the
adult
professor.
Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
Harry
the
Potter.
kids are walking into class one day and like it cuts to two professors. Oh, well, we weren't doing anything. Yes, we were. It's HBO.
And Dumbledore and Snape were boning in the fucking broom closet.
The only way he could suppress his love for Lily.
Fun story. My cats, they're my wife's from when she was younger, and they kind of grew up with us.
Fun story. My cats are gay.
Well, my cats. There's Lily, who lives with us, and then James, her ex-husband, who lives with my in-laws, and they had kittens, and one of the kittens that they kept was named Harry. And so James and Harry live at my in-laws, and Lily lives with us now because the boys used to beat her up, and we have a little Harry Potter kitty cat family. They're all Siamese cats.
That's amazing.
The boys used to beat her up?
Yeah, they're a little mean, so...
Wait, boy cats or your sons?
No, the cats. They're all cats. I don't have actual children.
Oh.
But James and Harry felt like since they're, bigger and they're male cats that they kind of could control the place. Even though Lily was the mom, she's like the matriarch, and she's a very nice, sweet cat. She doesn't do much of anything. But they were always mean to her because they're typical boy cats. And so they would whack her in the head or start fights with her. And so she was not having a good time living there. So she came to live with us once we got our house, and she's we say it's her retirement. She's in her golden years now. She's she's just chilling. Her fur's all nice now. She's not a care in the world. The only thing she has to worry about is occasionally being picked up and gently kissed on the head by one of the two people who love her more than anyone in the world. So I think her life is pretty good now.
Yeah, my Mia is the same way.
Yeah, that's good. Don't cats always sigh like they're fucking... they've just robbed the Central International Bank in Malaysia and they're trying to make it out of the elevator shaft. Every cat's oh my God.
What a brilliant way to tie it back.
Every cat walks around like they're FBI agent undercover Thibodeau trying to nail somebody for 8 years. Oh my God, if this fucking guy pets me one more time. It's your every single need is taken care of. Don't sigh like you got a job,
it's me,
cat.
Cat Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Ethan.
Which, by the way, in this movie, getting back to that, I think one of the best performances was the actor that played Conrad Green, the contact the buyer that she was selling things to.
Okay.
In Malaysia.
That guy.
So I want to talk about him for a second. That's Maury Chaykin.
Because he was in the movie for 2 minutes, but it was 2 minutes of sweaty frenzy that you just need from some sort of villain character. He was the only bad guy in the movie, I think, that had some kind of actual substance to his character. He played it very well.
So I was just looking to see if we would recognize him from anything else that we had seen him in, and it doesn't look like we've seen him in anything else along our journey. But the reason I want to talk about him, and this is one of the only movies I haven't taken notes for. My notebook is right there, and I just it just evaded me. Behind Conrad Green is a poster. Does anybody... Did either of you see the poster?
I didn't catch it.
Okay. It is an Iron Maiden poster for their album Virtual 11.
Whoa.
This is the second...
How did I not see that?
So Iron Maiden has had 3 singers. Paul Di'Anno, or however you say his last name. Di'Anno, I think is how you pronounce it. Excuse me. Not however. Get someone's name right, Dylan. Then Bruce Dickinson, longest running singer, current singer.
Bruce Flippin' Dickinson.
Bruce Flippin' Dickinson. He's flipping dicks, not near his son.
Jesus Christ.
And the third singer they had for about 3 or 4 years, his name was Blaze Bayley.
What a fucking name.
Blaze.
Yeah, what an awesome name. It's not his real name, but...
I find that hard to believe. It's got to be his real name. You don't just come up with a name like Blaze.
I would name my kid Blaze.
I know I'm being totally facetious right now, but...
Bailey Alexander Cook.
That's not a bad name either, but Blaze Bayley is definitely better.
So for 5 years, he was the singer with Iron Maiden from 1994 to 1999.
And so it was contemporary. It was
exactly.
It was period correct. The poster.
The reason why I find this fascinating is because Virtual 11 is often considered their worst record.
I like Iron Maiden, and I have not heard of Virtual 11. I'm not the biggest Iron Maiden fan, but I do like them. It's an album that it would if you told me it was called fart on a stick, I'd say, yep, sure thing.
That's actually the lead single from the last record was Fart on a Stick.
Oh, okay. I thought so.
Man on the Edge and Fart on a Stick. Yeah, he did 2 records with them, The X Factor and Virtual 11.
Yeah.
They were the 10th and 11th album. And Virtual 11 is often considered their worst. There's very few guitar harmonies, which are like a staple of Iron Maiden. The songwriting has nuggets of goodness, but they're oftentimes stretched to too much, like butter scraped over too much bread. That quote from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
That's very much a lot of those songs. But between those 2 records, there's an album's worth of good material. And on my computer in the other room, I have a project that I started working on before Sean Connery died, where I took all of the songs that I liked from those records, and I basically created like the perfect live set. Like I recorded them.
Oh, that's
great. Drums, guitar, bass, vocals, all of it.
So you did like a cover of the perfect live set that
so it's
never
like
existed.
Yeah, it's maybe 40 minutes long, and it's just all of these songs: Future Real, Virus, Sign of the Cross, Man on the Edge,
Fart on a Stick.
Fart on a Stick, exactly. The poorly named The Klansman with a C.
Yeah.
It's for Scottish.
Yeah.
Scottish Highlands.
Oh, yeah.
The Highlander. So maybe one day I'll finish mixing that and put it out. Or maybe I'll redo it now that's in the studio, not recorded in an apartment.
Yeah.
But I really like those 2 records. I would recommend people check them out. The tracks Future Real. Future Real is an Iron Maiden staple. It's like one of the few ones that they would continue to perform after Blaze Bayley left and Bruce Dickinson came back. That, The Klansman, Sign of the Cross, those got played a lot.
Those are all ones that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
So the poster on the wall was
so
interesting for
I was trying to come up with like 1 or 2 more songs.
Yeah.
It was just really interesting to see that. We've gotten so few like pop culture references in these movies, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got the Beatles in Goldfinger as a pop culture reference. In Memories of Me, we get Sean Connery as a cultural reference. Like, what else do we really have? Like, do we have Sean Connery saying he likes something? Or
I feel like that's part of what makes a lot of his movies somewhat timeless, is that a lot of them are not, like, even though they are made across several decades, like, he's just always Sean Connery. You know what I mean? If you keep it from being too time period specific, then the movie can kind of last forever. And then that all kind of got blown up in Entrapment because it's the whole Millennium Bug thing.
Decisively.
Yeah. But
Midnight
every
of
single
99.
movie made in that year almost had to have some kind of reference. Like for years leading up to it, that was like the big fucking pop culture thing, was like, the millennium's coming, everything's gonna explode.
And movies around that time had become a little more meta.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith had begun making films around that time.
Which he's my favorite filmmaker.
Kevin Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I love Kevin Smith movies. Clerks is an absolute fucking masterpiece.
Okay, but how about Yoga Hosers?
I haven't seen that one, actually. But
that was one of the movies that made him
Kevin
flip
Smith
flop.
is another guy who makes bad movies sometimes.
Yeah.
But then you'll go, like, I went to, when Jay and Silent Bob Reboot came out, he did a tour and did like a Q&A, and it was at the Columbus Theater.
What didn't Chuck run that?
He did Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah, he did Comic-Con. That's right. Man, I have some funny stories about Chuck and Comic-Cons and things, but that's for a different time.
Those
Chuck.
Statons.
Yeah.
Darn Statons.
That also sounds like something that Scientology would be like, you
Yeah.
need to clear the Statons.
So I'll put a teaser out there for this. I went to a Comic-Con to film for Chuck in New York, and it was like not a major Comic-Con. It was a small one. And one of the panels they moderated was the woman who was not the actual dialogue voice, but the singing voice from the overdubbed version of Sailor Moon in the U.S. And she also sang the Hot Pockets jingle. And she sang a full rendition, which I didn't even know there were verses to this song, but she sang a full version of the Hot Pockets jingle with backing music at this thing. and I was
Hot
forever
Pocket.
changed.
Like that one?
I was Hot Pockets. Like we only hear that part of it, but that's actually part of like an actual song with
serious?
like
Yeah, it
chords and
sounds like
lyrics. Do 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 Hot Pockets. It's like
it feels like the tail dun 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 because it's a
Yeah.
tail. It would
Exactly.
something like that.
yeah, and then somebody was like cutting up all the footage, and they're like, screw all these kids. I just need Hot Pockets. You know, just put it at the end. You know, like when they were cutting the commercials together.
Screw these kids.
Like,
We gotta stress the meat.
I don't care about the kids playing soccer. They need to know how packed this thing is with ham and cheese. You know.
Is that what the song's about? Kids playing soccer?
No, but like every commercial.
That's
from,
why they cut it, because the rest of the
Yeah.
lyrics had nothing to do with Hot
Exactly.
Pockets. Like, do you ever like driving a car? Have you ever smoked a big cigarette? Hot Pockets. It's like, what?
You should look her up on Facebook. Her name is Jennifer Cihi, singer, and that's Cihi. And yeah, it was phenomenal. It was actually one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in my entire life. That's
insane.
Being there for that. But she was so nice, and she was really sweet and like very genuine, and like there were a lot of people who were really big Sailor Moon fans who went like to go and see her panel thing, and like it was cool like on its own. But
Panel
I just
thing.
like I left that. Sean Murphy was there with me. Him and I
Really?
and my wife came along just because she went to college in New York City, so she just wanted to come back and hang out with us. So like. With the three of us left that thing forever changed. We were like, what the fuck just happened to us? And for the entire, like, however many, 2.5, 3 hours that it took us to get home, we talked about our new favorite singer, Jennifer Cihi, singer. And it was great. It was one of the funniest fucking moments of my entire life. Like,
Well, Sean, when you hear this episode, relay the story to me from your perspective as to why you were forever changed.
oh yeah, it was great. It was a crazy day, but whatever. Yeah, a lot of stuff to unpack on that one, but I don't even know where I was going with that. But like, I think one of the things that I was thinking about with this movie is that this movie really focused on this is what I was thinking. So the details, right? You notice the poster, and I feel like with movies that's either super intentional or just like somebody had it laying around and slapped it on the wall. But like this movie focused on the action and the heists, and they almost didn't explain at all the premise and the situation.
That poster is very vague.
Very.
It's Sean Connery is an elder figure. Catherine Zeta-Jones is a
looking like
sexy
Catwoman
woman.
on the front of that.
Yeah. Lasers and a tall building and two running figures. So it's like, okay, maybe some kind of heist with laser security systems.
And that tracks.
That's it.
That tracks because in this movie there's security systems with lasers. There's her in skin tight suits with gratuitous ass shots just because I mean.
Okay, so forgive me, I don't mean to be pervy with this, but when John was leaving work today, I told him, "Hey, I'm having Aaron on the podcast," and another coworker pipes up. He goes, "What movie?" And I go, "Entrapment." And he goes, "Oh, the butt scene."
Yes.
And I just, the butt scene. I'm like,
with the lasers.
yeah, it took me a second to remember that because Catherine Zeta-Jones is stunning, 10 out of 10 in this movie.
Of course she is.
And an amazing rear end in that shot cannot be denied. But, hey, I don't know why it wasn't like the first thing that, when he said that, it wasn't the first thing that popped into my mind about this movie. It was not about
the butt shot.
yeah,
no.
it was. There was a lot more to think about that. It took me like 10 seconds to really recall what was even.
I feel like the love story and like the sex appeal type of part of this movie was really struggled to work because of the age gap between the two, and I don't think they leaned on it a lot. But what I think they did lean on in this movie was the action scenes and the heists and things like that, and it made me think about how like right around this time, all of the action movies really focus just on the action, whereas there's kind of been a big shift in movies now, maybe even as a response to action movies in the late 90s, early 2000s, are much more about the context and the build-up and the lead-up, and you get one or two big action scenes at the end, as opposed to this movie where there was like 3 major heists all in one movie. You know, you think about other movies that have come out now, and you get like an hour of backstory before you even really get into what
so
the
you
movie
could compare
is about.
it to like Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Where it's like one big thing they're leading up to. Or like, even if you compare it to like, you know, one of the most popular things you see for action movies nowadays is like, you know, superhero movies, Marvel and stuff like that. And all of those movies, I feel like, are an hour of explaining why Star-Lord is so fucked up in the head, and then 25 minutes of him fighting at the very end, as opposed to like 2 minutes of explanation. You don't even really know what's going on or why a fucking insurance company is investigating this guy.
The example you gave with Guardians, I'd say, might be an exemption to the Marvel rule, because James Gunn shoots his action scenes very well.
That's true.
I think maybe one to pull from might be like the end of Black Panther,
I can
where
see
it's
that.
like really sloppy CGI.
Yeah.
And clearly no humans are
For the
involved.
first one or the second
The
one?
first one. I haven't seen the second one.
And I just watched through the Guardians.
I really
so it's
like
fresh.
most of the action in Black Panther is great. Like that opening where
Oh,
he's
yeah.
in the trees, when you know it's a real human there.
Yes.
But
I think the action is very good, and I think Marvel does a really good job with that. It's not that the action scenes
Yeah.
are bad. It's just that I think we focus a lot more on the story now, and like why is
Yeah.
the action taking place? And I think that was a big shift, maybe even over the last 10 years or so, to where the action movie has to be more than just like a vehicle to serve up explosions, you know, like Transformers and Michael Bay style. Like, people need some sort of actual reason to get behind these characters, because there's so much saturation now that if you don't have a feasible, believable plot with like 45 minutes worth of backstory, people don't really give a shit so much about why the action is happening, you know?
another Marvel movie that just came to my mind of that same kind of thing, No Way Home. Beautiful, amazing special effects, but all the action scenes are pre-rendered, you know what I mean? Like, they know
Yeah.
exactly what's going to happen. People went to that movie for the character interactions.
Yeah.
They like, obviously you want to see the three Spider-Men interact with each other, but also, you know, Zendaya and
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland and
Ned.
Jacob Batalon? Anyway, either way, maybe I'm wrong, but their chemistry is really good.
Yeah.
They've earned your trust as a viewer that you care about how their
Yeah.
relationships interact. And even, you know, you go back only a handful of years afterwards, after this movie, excuse me, Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah.
It's all character. The action scenes in that film arguably are not very good.
No, I completely agree until you get to The Dark Knight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have better action, I
Perfectly
think.
balanced.
Yeah. But I think it's like a good example of that, even in more recent times, is Dune. Because Dune basically...
Dune was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
as
loved
was
them
two.
both. And the first one was pretty much just the backstory for the second one.
Yeah.
And like, we have two movies now. One of them is really just leading up to all of the action that takes place in the second one. That would not have been greenlit in 1999.
No.
If there are not 7 explosions per 10 minutes, you're not making that movie in 1999. You know what I mean?
Should we keep going with the wiki to continue along with the plot?
Sure, yeah.
Hope I'm not derailing us too much.
No, not.
I have a lot of thoughts about
We
this movie.
derail
It brought up
a lot.
It stirred up a lot in me. Like, I thought about this movie a lot. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a really good time
Hell
talking
yeah,
about
dude.
this movie.
That's the point of this. Is
Yeah.
like we want to. We didn't expect half of these movies to be.
What they are.
Yeah, to be
Yeah,
things that we embrace,
And we again, this seed was planted because of our love for James Bond.
Right.
So it was interesting to see,
we realized how
like-
limited we were.
Yeah.
but it's just interesting to see what he was doing in between Bond or
At the same time.
at the same time, or get on his way out. Like we see,
after.
like we talk about all the time, where Diamonds Are Forever is his last Bond movie, and then he looks miserable in it. And you see the next film after that, he looks so free, He's
refreshed.
like, I'm free, baby. You know, I can do whatever I want, and it opened him up to do more. So I was listening to an interview with him not too long ago, talking about, someone asked him, did you feel like you had a fear of being typecast after you left James Bond? He's like, no, I just want to do something different. I want to be, I want to make some cool stuff, you know. And he did, man. He did some really cool shit. Like, that really let him out of his shell, because
He started directing.
you could tell, some movies, you could tell like they're like, oh yeah, you know what would be cool? Get the guy who played James Bond to play this movie.
Yeah.
You know, but he still finds a way to like carve it out, and be like, I'm Sean Connery in this. I'm not James Bond.
He's got an aura to him. You know what I mean? Like you definitely have like his character is bigger than him. Like the character of Sean Connery is like a much bigger persona than actual Sean Connery. And like he's got we have the benefit that he's got such a deep filmography that we can really see all the nuances and differences, which is so cool. Because like think about how cool it would be to have your whole life documented over 50 years of, you know, however long he was making films, and then just to be able to look at that.
50, what was his first? 57, 54 to 2012.
Yep.
That's a long time. That's like 60 years, almost, practically. I don't know. I'm not doing the math, but
That is 58.
that's a long ass time. That's more than
I
some
don't
people
think I'm
live.
right. I don't think I'm right.
Is
Hold on.
that counting for the From Russia with Love video game that he did?
Well, 54 to 2004 would be 50, and then 2004 to 2012 is 8. So yeah, that's 58 years.
Yes, okay. Wow. Sloppy. Forgive me.
It's all good. We're all creative types. We're not numbers types.
Even though at the end of one of my music videos, there's literally, music is math, and math is music.
Well, that's true, but music math is a lot different than...
Yes. Okay, so let's continue here. Jin convinces Mac that she's a thief, her insurance agency job is the real cover, and that she has planned an even bigger heist in Kuala Lumpur worth over $1 billion. Mac agrees to go to Malaysia with Jin, where she lays out her plan to steal $8 billion from the International Clearance Bank in the North Tower of the Petronas Towers on New Year's Eve, taking advantage of an electronic security gap she's created. In Kuala Lumpur, Jin is confronted by crews for disappearing on him, and she convinces him that Mac is planning the bank heist and her investigation is ongoing. His romantic feelings for Jin growing, Mac attempts to call off the heist, but Jin persuades him to continue. Pick it up there?
So I think that I'm not believing the romantic feelings between the two of them in this movie. It's just like they tried to push it in there, and like I can't believe that she's like lusting after him like they're trying to say. I don't think
I can believe
leaned
she's
on it.
lusting after him. And I can believe that he is really reluctant to go along with it.
Yeah.
Because he's probably got a daughter that age.
Yes. And like it highlights another point that I thought about this movie, is that a lot of things are just kind of left out there with open ends. They're in the apartment in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and she's like, you know, making a move on him, and he's like, my situation, it's complicated. I couldn't explain it. And then they just leave it. Like, there's no follow-up to that at all. Like, they're just like, yeah, that's going to be a loose end. We're not going to explain why a situation
it comes into the end.
a little bit.
It's the situation at the end of the train station where you find out that's a complicated situation.
You see, it didn't come across as such to me.
Well, I think we're supposed to think maybe he's got a family or something.
That's what I thought. But
It's
like
this complicated situation.
and this is my point, is that I don't think a lot of that background was connected well enough in the story to pick it up. I literally watched this movie like yesterday, and I finished the last like hour of it today. So like I've seen it very recently, and to me, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but like a lot of that stuff didn't click super well. Like it didn't. I don't think they tied a lot of the storylines from the beginning and the end together. But maybe I missed it. Who knows? But I just thought that there was a lot of this movie that was not like super well explained or well connected. But I don't think it was supposed to be. Like I'm viewing it with a very critical lens, because like I like to be critical of movies just as a hobby. You know, like I like film and picking them apart. But like I think if you just like were to watch it on face value, it probably makes sense. But they don't really hit a lot of those points super hard to like really drive the point home, I don't think, because I think they're too busy trying to break glass windows and make explosions.
It clicked for me when the reveal at the end. We'll get into it.
Who's entrapmenting who?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Once all is revealed at the end, I'm like, oh, that was the situation.
Yeah.
I like that.
I get that now.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get it the first time I watched through.
I wanted to make a comment on the fact that he has like fucking Doctor Doom's castle Like,
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
living
in
a
Scotland?
he's living in a fucking castle.
Well, he's from Scotland. It
He-
must be a
he's
castle.
earned. He's
They're all
stolen.
castles. They all live in
Do,
castles.
do you think do you think he grew up like rich so that he like that might be his castle anyway? Do you think he's just stolen so much over the years?
Oh
that
yeah,
that's-
I think he's a fucking master thief.
Yeah.
he's like Nathan Drake in the Uncharted games. You know what I mean?
I still have never played those.
Oh, they're so good. If
Yeah.
you like Indiana, I mean, we're getting a nice Indiana Jones game in a few. In a,
And it's made by that
couple
team,
months.
right? Oh no, it's made by Bethesda.
Bethesda.
Yeah.
It looks really good. My friend got hands on with it. It looks really good. It's gonna be
Yeah.
good. But yeah, it was a really good game. Uncharted as well.
I
But,
thought the castle was cool.
yeah, but I was like, yeah, like it just insane. And I love that scene of him listening in on the phone call. of
Oh
them,
my
like,
God.
I was just gonna say that was to me a nod to James Bond too.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Hit the Dr. No fucking desk again. Like, they
Right?
opened up and he's fucking like listening in and shit. That like made the movie more tense for me because I'm like, all right, is he gonna like? Because I'm thinking that laser scene when they're finally getting the mask. I'm like, he's gonna like betray her here or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Like the guards are to come in and arrest her, and he's like, I'm out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, that's what
I
I
thought he
waiting
was going to
for.
give her up, like when he was like holding her under the water as they're trying to escape
Yeah.
and like drilling her about like,
Yeah.
you work for this guy. Like I thought he was going to give her up and leave her or something for the police.
And there's so much like, you know, and then later on with the mask being switched out with that rock when they take it back to the dude, I'm like, so much double cross.
Which is
like,
where we see the virtual
Yeah.
weapon poster.
yeah, it's just such an insane like.
When he had that meeting with Thibodeau where he was telling him that the plans are off and he stole the mask, I was like, oh, this guy's got to be a cop or something like that, because like Thibodeau was very like concerned with the fact that he's calling off the deal, and like it seemed like it was more than just he wanted his cut.
Yeah,
Like-
I remember that he got really angry. Like, it's off when I say it's off.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was more of like a handler relationship than like a you work for me kind of situation.
Yeah, I didn't put together. I just thought it was his, because he mentions that he wrecks his car. Connery wrecks Thibodeau's car.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of thought it was. Like, you better do this heist because I need a new car. Damn it, Ethan. Damn it, Ethan.
I think he could have bought him a new car with the castle. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, it just.
What do
I
you
was
say?
like,
One castle for one car.
one castle? I've got several castles with several cars. You can have one.
One castle per one car. Yeah, the same in worth. And this is just a shitty old Honda.
Silly old Honda. But yeah, and then when it turned out that Thibodeau was the one taking the photos of them in the thing, I was like, all right,
Yeah.
well, he's definitely a fucking cop now. Like, he's not working with the insurance agent guy just to get him his car paid back. Like, I knew something was up then when he was like working with what's his name, with the boss.
Yeah, I again, it was good mystery building. Cause it's
Yeah.
like, why are they together? And then you have to wait till the end for the reveal.
The big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bring up the castle. I think my favorite, talking about sexy, our sexy ratings, that's the sexiest scene, is when she's on the rafters doing her
Oh, yeah.
gymnastics and talking to him.
And telling him about how she stole the Rembrandt.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is so incredibly sexy. And then it leads to maybe my favorite like dialogue exchange of the film, where he's like, really? How'd you get it out of there? She's like, I mailed it, dropped it right down in the mail chute, packaging ready to go.
Oh, and he has the greatest
And then he
line.
pulls it out. He's like, well, much easier to break into the first floor than the top floor.
I love that. That was one of my favorite lines.
Stole
in
it right
movie.
from the mailroom.
I would steal it from the mailroom's a lot easier to break into. Like, you dog, Connery, you got her.
That was so good. Also, your Connery voice is high pitched and it makes it very funny.
It is, because I can't do like a low pitched Connery voice. Hello, or like
It's
my
very simple. You
impressions-
don't have to just add the H to the S. Just very simple.
I'm
Kind of
much too
round
high-strung for
round
that.
the. You're doing it already.
I guess that's just my regular voice. but-
Yeah, there you go. You're doing it. You're doing it.
There it is.
Hey.
I get into this bit of a mode when I do impressions.
And now just add the H.
The impressions.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Everybody has their own.
I have a couple
Connery.
good impressions, I think.
A squeaky
What else you got?
Connery.
But I've got a pretty good Australian.
Okay.
I think it's pretty believable.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started watching a lot of Australian
Pretty
TV on
believable.
Netflix because I ran out of American shows that I actually felt like watching. So
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I've developed a pretty decent Australian one. One time I was working at a different office and that I'm not usually at, and I was having a meeting just with the Australian accent, and a lot of people were in on it, but the people who walked in that weren't in on it really believed it for a minute there. It was not bad.
I know we've got one Australian listener that we've had as a guest, right?
Right.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Ryan can
Yeah.
judge my Australian
Yeah,
accent.
Ryan, judge our terrible Australian accents.
Yours is almost like an Outback commercial for a minute there. Yeah, shrimp on the barbie.
Oh, yes. I've got my Barbie doll and I've attached shrimps to her. Duct tape the shrimps to my Barbie doll. Lemon pepper.
Why is it that attaching food to, like, using a different verb than you normally would, like, you don't attach food to things generally, but like I
But you
attach
throw it.
shrimps to it, like
You throw a burger on the grill.
throw a burger.
Now it's just Sean Connery again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's continue. Let's just wrap up this Wikipedia article. Despite the presence of crews and other security watching the building, the theft takes place in the final seconds of the new 2000 Millennium Countdown. But Jin pulls the plug on her laptop prematurely, haven't we all, and sets off alarms. She and Mac narrowly escape the computer vault and are forced to walk along the lights hung from the bottom of the bridge linking the two towers.
Whoa.
Mac forces Jin to escape without him, promising to meet her the next morning at Poodoo? Another Phantom Menace. at Poodoo train station.
Poodoo.
All right, we've got 2 paragraphs left, but I'm going to pick it up there because how fucking exhilarating is the whole heist scene.
The heist is great. It's got about as much action as any heist scene that you'll ever see, and the stakes were high. Like, one thing that I can't stand in an action movie is when it feels like the stakes are not high enough, and it felt like everything really was gonna come crashing down if they didn't get out of there. So like I really like that. It gave me major Die Hard vibes.
The concept that she has installed a device yesterday that every minute it eats a second or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it earns them 10 minutes.
Or 10 seconds at the end of the night or whatever.
Yeah, it's just brilliant.
It is.
Great movie logic thinking, and it's also weirdly the way my childhood brain would work.
Same.
Like I'd be like sitting and be like, "A minute's 60 seconds," but if I think of every minute as 59 seconds, then I've got 61 minutes.
Or like, and then they're in the the control room or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, they started 10 seconds early, and they're like, oh, the silly Americans
Yeah,
are always early.
always early, always in a rush.
And like, I feel like it's a trope for action movies to like go to some place in Asia, like Malaysia, and it's also a trope for like all of those people to hate Americans, which I mean, we might have earned that reputation by this
For sure.
point as Americans, but like,
We can be rude.
yeah, a little bit, but it's just funny to me that like it's so formulaic in this time period of like 95 to 2010, really. Like every action movie had to have these 7 elements, otherwise it wasn't really an action movie,
And one of them is usually fucking Americans, man.
Fucking Americans.
That escape sequence. Once she unplugs the laptop and the alarm goes off, that is like the best parts of the movie for me.
Oh yeah.
You've got to escape through a door that is closing, and she uses the little ottoman to block that. And right as Connery escapes, it crushes it.
It's always the exact perfect second,
Right? If it's a movie. It
Yeah.
has to be.
It has to be. It's never like, oh wow, 2 seconds later. It's always 1 second later.
They're running down the hallway, and he turns and, oh, it held.
Yeah. It's like, like you never see them running down the hallway and like, oh, hey, no, it's all good. We got time. Don't worry.
Or-
Like,
Or-
Let's walk.
Right as Connery's jumping through, it crushes him. Squishes him
oh
to
yeah, I
death.
would love to see that. I would love to see him just get absolutely smushed.
Then the running through of the gas.
Oh yeah.
They didn't expect us to run through the gas.
No, but
Brilliant.
she's gotta hold her breath and close her eyes. But he's so strong and manly that he can walk through with his eyes open. You know
Well,
what I
he's
mean?
not. He doesn't have his eyes open. He's going in blind as well.
Maybe that's what he should have done, but there likely was a continuity error. I did see his eyes open
Okay.
several times.
Okay, maybe he's being the brave one.
Maybe.
Um,
But it's just like funny, like put your face in the hole to breathe. Like
It was good. I liked it.
I
liked
like
it.
that. I like that shot because actually, funny enough, before watching this movie, I don't know, something told me to watch the trailer. I was like, let me watch the trailer for this because I remember
Okay.
because certain movies I've been kind
We
of
usually
watching.
avoid them.
Yeah, but I was like, for some reason, I'm like, let me just see what the trailer is and see if it like matches up with the movie. It does, but it's very like, you know, in a world, you know, it's very like 90s, late 90s. So that shot comes up of her like in the glass like.
Oh,
hole.
really?
And so you're not sure. Yeah, so you're not sure what that is.
Really?
Because it happens like really fast. At first, it kind of looks like Connery's boning her in the ass or something. You know?
Oh my God!
And I'm like, it happens really fast, like, you know, and like all these jump cuts. And
Surprise
shit.
butt sex.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, what the? I was like, wait, what
This
was
is
that?
what the butt shots were about the whole time. You know?
I'm like, I'm rewinding. I'm like, what?
That's
was
what my
that?
coworker meant.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on in that shot?
Anal trapment.
And then when it finally hit, I was like, oh shit, okay. That was like, it's kind of a cool shot the way it like kind of zooms out and stuff. But yeah, I was like, what? Out of context, man, it's fucked up to see that one angle.
It is. I did really love the escape.
I didn't watch the trailer.
And when I
I was
was
gonna watch it after.
when I was watching the earlier scene where they're setting up the string lights, like I watch a lot of TV and movies, and like I start to pick up on like, all right, those are going to be important.
I didn't think
You know
so
what I
at
mean?
all.
I was like, they're
I
gonna
just
swing
thought
on that.
it was like, okay, New Year's decorations, cool.
Yeah.
When it came back, oh my God, I didn't
Like
even
I'm
think
thinking
of
he's
it.
gonna like James Bond it and like hang on to it, and then we're gonna go down and like
Yeah.
all the lights like.
Oh, right,
like,
right.
No, he's fucking Spider-Man his way across.
That
comes from
is
watching-
terrifying. And they make it like 10 feet before it
Oh,
gets
yeah.
That's another
right.
culture reference they call him Spider-Man at one point. They say, he's not Spider-Man.
do.
They say,
Oh, they do.
He's not Spider-Man anymore. It wouldn't be him that robbed that
Yeah.
place. I was like, oh man, they called Connery Spider-Man.
Look at that.
That's me, you're Spider-Man.
I'm always talking
That's
about
not the
Spider-Man.
first time I've said this on this podcast.
Because we did the what's the movie? He's the Middle Eastern. He's a king or something.
Oh, yeah, the next man.
Yeah, and we cut a thing of him with looking at
Yes.
Spider-Man from
and,
like this.
And when
80s.
Lex was in that seat a couple episodes ago, Pierce Brosnan was over there.
Oh yeah, with Spider-Man.
Pierce Brosnan.
There's a lot of Spider-Man references on this podcast.
Yeah.
I forget the.
You guys continue. I'm going to make my rounds and check everything. Make sure
sure.
it's still recording. You go. You can continue.
I forget the term for it. It's so and so's gun, but like it's a rule. Chekhov's gun. So like if you show the gun, you have to use it. And a lot of like I always try and find like I don't want to say boring, but like a show that you don't necessarily have to pay a lot of attention to watch like during dinner. If I'm sitting down watching TV, like I don't want to have to be up like trying to pay attention to something for real when I'm trying to eat. So my wife and I have been watching a lot of Criminal Minds lately because the newest season came out, which was very good. But in Criminal Minds and like a lot of these formulaic shows, like you start to pick up on like if they show something, if they take the 10 or 12 seconds to put a shot of something in the show, it is going to be important later. Like they don't just say like, oh, how was your day at school? Like to their kid in the beginning and have it not be somehow related to the main point. So I've started to pick up on a lot of that when I watch movies. Like, oh, they're showing the lights. That's going to come up again later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The second you see the building of the two towers, I'm like, there's
Dun, yep.
I finished the point for fuck's sake. Oh my God.
It's
What was I
important.
saying?
When you see the two towers.
Anyways, we see the two towers. I'm like, guaranteed, like, seeing that bridge in the middle. I'm like, there's gonna be some kind of action sequence of them, like either like jumping to the next building or something like that. So I was like waiting for it. So like that was a good use. I like the fireworks in the background. It's very like
Oh, yeah.
insane, and you're like waiting for them to get shot out or something like that. I'm waiting for like a sniper to show up. or
Well,
something.
when that
It was
helicopter
insane.
shows up, don't
Yeah,
they,
you
Oh,
think
yeah.
that they're gonna get shot or
Yeah.
something?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
I
shit.
think we're going to get them.
do that? Don't they shoot at them? No.
I thought there was going to be a bigger. Well, at the end when she jumps down the ventilation shaft, they all burst in, guns blazing, and it looks like they're shooting him, but like they don't actually show what happens to them to like leave that mystery for a few seconds. But I don't think they're actually like helicopter gunning them down.
Yeah, not at all.
I liked the shot when she throws open the windows or the doors to the balcony at her little apartment, and you see it right there,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, that's why. And like it all clicks for him, like she's gonna rob the bank or whatever.
A room with a view.
There's a lot of good shots in this movie. There's some good cinematography, and what I like, it's almost a little funny because like it looks campy now, but like the transitions between the shots are not just like straight cuts. Like even when they're sitting having a conversation, it's like a dissolve from like her face to his face, and like the camera or wipes between two shots. And like I think people put a lot more attention on how the movies flowed into each other and how the different shots like faded or flowed into each other back at this point. Because you see a lot more of it then. And like nowadays it looks campy because everybody just does straight dry cuts. But like I think it adds an element to the movie of like that film like quality where you feel like you're caught up in that world. It doesn't just feel like, you know, some movies and TV shows now, everything's so high def and cut and dry, you feel like you could be sitting in the room with them, and it takes away some of the believability. You know what I mean?
It's one of the reasons why I haven't gotten a 4K TV.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared about it. I'm like, am I gonna watch a movie that I've grown up on in 4K, and then I'm like, oh no, I can see their blemishes. Like,
You know what's funny is I find that the quality of older movies that were filmed on actual film a lot of times are way better than like newer digital movies.
For sure, yeah.
You know, even 4K stuff. So like I've watched movies on my 4K TV that were not done in 4K, that were old film movies, and it just looks like better quality film. It doesn't look like overly done. But then when you watch much more modern movies that were all shot digitally in 4K, that's when it gets to be like scary real. Like I don't need to see your like you said, your blemishes on your skin. I want it to feel like a film, like a mystery world, you know?
We all watched this on a Blu-ray copy, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm gonna be interested to see what it looks like in 4K, but
Well,
Blu-ray quality looked great for me.
It looked good to me too. I didn't have any issues with this movie. I liked the cinematography, and I thought it had that same sort of filmy kind of feel. It didn't get to the point where it was like overly done. You know what I mean? I don't think the production value was like past what it should have been to where they're like, let's just make it look clinical.
It
you know,
looked very good, but I don't think there was any one shot where I went like, oh wow, what a shot.
Yeah.
Like what a well composed and well executed shot. I guess every shot was like that, but not.
There were.
Like, okay, you brought up the No Time to Die when they're breaking into that lab. They come down, and then the camera like rotates with the device they're cutting the window with. Like, that's composed. Time was taken for that. Thought was put into that. I mean, clearly every thought was put into every shot of this film, but nothing is like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this is like a gimmick? Prince of Thieves, you have the arrow shots, stuff like that, you know?
Although one shot that I thought that they did fairly well, that kind of seemed a little gimmicky to me, was the train shots at the end, where like 4 times in a row the train would drive by and somebody would disappear behind it. It's like, okay, I get it. You're hitting it over the head now a little bit. It's like people don't disappear every time a train goes by, and like, you know, they're hugging or whatever, and then all of a sudden it goes by, and it's like they didn't even finish hugging yet, dude. Like you cut it too soon.
That train scene made me laugh my ass off though, because it reminded me again back to Harry Potter. There's a scene in one of them where Dumbledore's at a train station.
Yes.
And he appears after, like, Harry's
looking
at the train.
It's like 6, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And he disappears. Dumbledore's there. But seeing Connery disappear, which he'd done like twice in this movie, just kind of vanishes like Batman.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing him out of breath on the other side, like...
I thought that was cool, actually.
I thought that was hilarious.
It was like a bit of a nod to it.
Or he runs, like... But right as he's getting to the step, he like runs out of breath then and collapses down the step. And he's missing, and you're like, oh no, where'd he go? He's just unconscious on the other side. Or I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny that it keeps happening? Like, people keep disappearing, but eventually it's not intentional.
Like Scooby-Doo style, you know? Like, people are popping up on different sides.
Exactly. But it's just becoming like chaotic, like the ending of Too Many Cooks, where it's just people being forced into like the credits logos. Like, ah! What's happening to me? A train passed by and I was teleported to another dimension. I saw hell and fire and all my worst nightmares come true, and then another train passed and I was back. Like when we snapped.
That's great. Yeah, just like Thanos, you know?
Oh, we had an episode where we snapped, and we can't all do it at once. That's dangerous. But we all ended up switching seats, and Mario and Lex disappeared. It was terrifying.
Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty terrifying, I'd say. If a train drives by while you snap, do you just disappear entirely?
Does anyone hear
it? A train shits in the woods. Does anybody hear it?
Also, when Dumbledore appears behind that train, he cockblocks Harry.
He does.
He was gonna cook up. He was gonna hook up with that very attractive waitress with the afro.
Yeah. Yeah, because he says it later on. That's why it's Half-Blood Prince. That's what.
Yeah, 6, right?
Yeah, I love that one. I love Slughorn in that movie. But
I'm a
like,
chair.
but like, yeah, he says, it's like, sorry about the girl there. She's really lovely. And he's like, yeah, can I go back? Like,
No,
we got to go to Weasley's house right now. And I'm
Given
like,
that I have no interest in women, neither do you.
yeah, right. He's like trying to convert.
So this thought just popped into my head. Do you think that Harry Potter would have been better or worse if Sean Connery was Dumbledore?
Well, we love our Michael Gambon here.
Oh, I do too. Look, I have no issues with his
And
performance.
we've had Michael Gambon and Richard Harris.
Both Dumbledores. Yeah.
Yeah. What was Michael Gambon in?
Gambon was Gambon in the Connery movie? I don't think he was in a Connery movie.
I think he was.
Was he?
Let me give it a
For
good.
sure, Richard Harris was. 'Cause we're like, holy
Yeah,
shit,
that's
him.
the Molly
It's
Maguire.
him young was
Which-
crazy.
Shout out to our producer Eric. I did sound for one of his gigs recently for a band called the Molly Maguires.
Whoa,
Anyway,
that's
let's
a
see
cool
if Michael
man.
Gambon and Connery then-
But I've often thought about that, like him.
Have you really?
Him as Dumbledore or him as Count Dooku in Star Wars.
Oh, him as Count Dooku would have been.
You know
Although
what I
I do
mean?
love Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he's perfect.
The dude is a monster. There's like a meme that's going around where he's on some movie and the director's trying to tell him something and he's like, "Have you ever seen a man be decapitated before?" And the director's like, "No." He's like, "Well, I have, and this is what it looks like." They're like, "Oh, well, all right." And like Christopher Lee's seen some shit, but I think Sean Connery as Count Dooku would be good.
Yeah, but him as Dumbledore, because like that's the thing with, again, talking about differences with Richard Harris, he was very, very soft spoken as Dumbledore,
Yeah.
and then Gambon was very.
Did you
like,
put your name in the
all
goblet? Did you put your
that.
name in the goblet of fire?
Yeah, he said softly, whatever. So like I think Connery would have brought that same intensity, but also could be very like soft spoken as well.
I feel like Connery is like reserved. He's like measured. You know what I mean? Like he knows when to let out the anger and when to keep it inside. Like I feel like he's a man who's got very, very well defined boundaries for himself. You know.
Absolutely. But yeah, I feel like it could be very, it's in Scotland too, so it's like it would be great to see him yucking up with everybody, and I think the stuff towards the end with Dumbledore in Half-Blood Prince would be super intense with Connery at the helm.
Yeah.
He's doing a fucking fire tornado and shit, and like they're feeding him the potion and shit. Like it'd be insane. Did you find something?
So here's what I found. During a conversation with Cubby Broccoli, Michael Gambon was talking with Cubby Broccoli. Got 10 young stage actors, I was one of them, into an office in the West End and interviewed us. Gambon told the 007 producer, "I can't play James Bond because I'm bald, I've got a double chin, and I've got girl's tits." But Cubby replied, "Well, so's Sean Connery. So we put a wig on him, and we put 2 leather bags on his chest before the take when you're naked with the girls. They put 2 leather bags full of ice on your breasts, and you go, makes breathing sound." Cubby added,
Wait, what?
And then
Is this
Cubby added, and then the man comes in just before the action and takes the bags off. Then Sean Connery has a beautiful flat chest, and he has false teeth, and all this referring to his wig. So you could well do it. However, Gambon said, "But he didn't offer it to me."
Wait, they shrink his tits with ice?
I'm still wondering
guess.
how we got here from was he in a movie with Connery, and now we found this interview.
People, does that work?
I don't know.
Does putting ice on your
On your man boobs actually make them
make
go away?
them smaller? That's really all it is. It's inflammation.
It's inflammation, yeah. You're not 60 or anything like that,
That's insane.
Well, this appears to be in about
But yeah, I don't
70
think
or
so. Yeah,
so.
I'm thinking
He had
Gambon
left
wasn't in
for
the
the first
movie.
thing.
Yeah, so I don't think him and Gambon were in a movie together.
No, that's all I could
unfortunately.
find. Anyway,
Well, fun fact.
Now, what's a character of Harry Potter that would make the movie infinitely worse if it were played by Sean Connery? And don't say something like Hermione. It's got to be like a guy character.
Hagrid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He might be.
Oh wait, no, he'd be a good Hagrid.
I think
Yeah.
he could probably pull it
Hagrid.
off, but I think...
Oh.
No, he could do a lot of roles.
I was gonna say Lucius Malfoy, but that could be
Ooh,
dope
that
too.
could be very good. I think he could be a good
He
Snape.
could Draco Malfoy.
Yeah.
It's me.
My
I'm
father
11.
will hear about this.
He's dead.
My father.
He's been dead for 40 years. I'm 11.
Sean Connery at 70 or whatever playing an 11-year-old Draco Malfoy actually seems like it would be the best thing you could possibly do to Harry
Slytherin.
I'm House Slytherin. I feel like he couldn't do Voldemort.
No.
Ray Fiennes is
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he could.
Maybe a professor.
It could be.
Maybe like.
I bet they should have had him be Flitwick, but he's still small. That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious.
Poor Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis.
Or-
He
or
loves
what do you,
those movies.
What do you think about him as?
No, I mean like it would deny him that
Oh,
role.
yeah, right.
Like,
No.
I could have done that.
and he's really funny too.
Yeah.
Warwick Davis is hilarious. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
what is it? Life's Too Short.
Oh,
That's
Life's
his
Too Short.
series, yeah.
I always do this.
Very
I always
funny.
confuse actors' names. You know what I mean? Like I'll think one is the other, and then when you pulled it up on your computer, I saw it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's Warwick Davis. Sean Connery as Billy Bob Thornton's character in Bad Santa would be great, though.
That'd be
It
hilarious.
would be very good. Yeah, honestly, if Bad Santa was made 20 years before that, it would have been Sean Connery.
Probably would have. Yeah.
That would have been a good fit for him in the 80s.
I feel like seeing him in like an irreverent dirtbag kind of role would just be so hilariously
Has he
funny.
played in a Reverend Dirtbag?
Yeah.
Tarzan's Greatest Adventure.
No, he's a dirtbag in what's the movie? He's washing the rugs and he's fucking the girl. in the
Oh
office.
yeah, A Fine Madness.
Fine man. He's a
He's
fucking.
a piece of shit in that
He
movie.
reminds me. He reminds me not as intense, but he's kind of like Trevor from GTA 5. He's super shitty.
I don't know who that character is.
He's like kind of like a.
He's a piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
He
But
brings a
But he gives me those vibes when I watch a movie for the first time. I think I made that note in the episode. I forget.
I would love to see like a one episode swap out for Sean Connery for like so many TV shows. Like I would love to see Sean Connery as Ricky in Trailer Park Boys. You know what I mean?
the hash oil is delicious.
Yeah, or like as Charlie in Always Sunny, you know, just like some completely random wouldn't fit at all, but like just throw him in there for an episode and like pretend like nothing's different, you know, it would be
play
great.
that Diane Troya song.
So yeah, we were talking about Entrapment.
Yeah. I was still trying to think of like who a good role for Connery and Harry Potter would be if he was in that time.
I
Like,
really think Dumbledore.
I think Dumbledore, Dumbledore or Hagrid. I think.
Not that
yeah,
I have
can
any
see- I
issues
can
with
see
any of
Connery
those.
as Dumbledore going like, oh, I can't do it with my glasses.
Yes.
Like, doesn't Dumbledore do that in the books? He like. tips
Yeah,
his
he has
nose
he has
down
he
the
has the
nose.
little half moon glasses and shit. Like I think that's the perfect. I think he was.
a warm mentor.
I'm pretty sure that there's a story out there. I think he was in consideration at one point. I think.
He might have been.
And he turned it down because he didn't understand it.
Yeah, and like
I don't-
Gandalf. That's what he was.
I don't
Gandalf.
understand this.
Gandalf was.
He would have been a good Gandalf, I
He would have
thought.
been a great Gandalf.
He turned it down because he didn't understand it. That was he turned down the Morpheus in the Matrix because he didn't understand it.
That would have been insane.
That's tough because
Blast.
like
He wouldn't have been able to do the kung fu that Mark.
That'd be hilarious.
Fishburne.
Him doing
you
that
see,
would be
I
funny.
think Lawrence Fishburne like was that character.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah.
me, it's hard for me to picture anybody else other than him in that. But like Sean Connery, if you look at least what I'm familiar with of his filmography, would be more comfortable playing Keanu Reeves' character in that movie if it was made contemporary because he's like the action star guy to me, like Sean Connery is.
If the Matrix was made in the 70s or so, I can't see Connery as the Neo role.
I was just thinking more like his archetypal roles of what I'm familiar with are more like the lead action guy rather than more like the Morpheus character. But I also I'm just trying to think of like I think of him as like James Bond in that kind of character because like that was really my first introduction to him.
Yeah, we've totally forgot to ask you, what's your history with Sean Connery?
Oh, so well, the very first Sean Connery movie I saw was Indiana Jones.
And The Last Crusade.
In The Last Crusade, of course, because so my late father, was hugely into Indiana Jones. Oh, thank you. It was many years ago now.
Dead Dad's Club.
Oh yeah, there we go. But yeah, one of the things that my dad liked was he was really into Star Wars, really into Indiana Jones. Definitely some sort of on the spectrum that we didn't know until much later. You know what I mean? So like, Dad had like super hardcore interests. Like he was really into Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and so like I watched Indiana Jones more times than I could ever count at this point. I could probably quote the entire movie. But that was my first introduction. And then I said, well, what else is he in? And I also really liked James Bond. And Pierce Brosnan was the Bond at the time. So my dad said to me, oh, well, he was James Bond 2, just in the older ones. So I went back and started watching, like Dr. No and all of these other. And I think Dr. No is probably my favorite Bond movie, even compared to the new ones. Again, not that it's the best Bond movie, just my favorite Bond movie of all of them. Like, it's just got so much going on, and there's just, every time you turn around, there's something different that's like, oh, all right, well, I guess this is happening now. So, like, that's kind of my history with Sean Connery. And then over the years, like, you obviously see him in little things here or there. And, like, I remember League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was, like, a fun one that I liked watching. Like, that came out. And, like, I would always look for him in, like, movies, like, contemporary, like, action movies of the day. Because I always liked him as that action character, like, from James Bond and stuff like that. So that's kind of my history with Sean Connery.
LXG is the one that he did to make up for the fact that he had turned down The Matrix and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't understand all of them. Fine. Those were all hits. I'll do one.
Yeah.
And LXG.
And he picked the wrong one.
Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. That's like, I'm trying to think of like a modern analogy and I can't, but like, it's like it's like ending up in the worst Marvel movie. Like, even though Marvel movies are all made by the same place, but like out of all of the movies of that time that were like huge blockbuster hits, you end up in LXG.
What's the worst Marvel movie?
It's like, look at Sydney Sweeney and all them and Madam Web,
Oh, we're going with MCU or Marvel?
Marvel in general.
Okay, Marvel.
I'm really only familiar with like the live action stuff. I haven't seen a lot of like the animated or anything.
Well, Madam Web was live action.
Yeah, that was on the Sony
either.
side, which is where they do like Venom and everything.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
But yeah, when she came out, and it's a terrible movie. There's no saving that movie. But like, she was like, "Yeah, I'm so excited to be in the MCU," and I'm like, "Oh, honey, who's gonna tell her? That's not the MCU." I guess there's talks that they want her to be like a Gwen Stacy character or something like that in the future. Well, I think it would work with Tom Holland. They're like the same age, so I think that would work. I don't see her being like Spider-Gwen or anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's gotta be the worst feeling. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna do a Marvel movie. How cool! But you're like, oh, I'm doing Madam Web. Like, that's a shame. Like,
Gotta hope the paycheck's
fuck,
good.
man. You could be, there's guys that like are extras in that comedian he was in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Do a flip
Hannibal
Spider-Man.
Buress.
No, it was a different guy. I forgot his name, but he showed up in a couple movies. He's a bit bigger guy.
But Hannibal Buress is the gym teacher.
He's a gym teacher, yeah. But there's a random guy, like he's eating a hot dog. And he's like, "You Spider-Man, do a flip." And he shows up in Shang-Chi too, like when they're in the bus fight scene. Like a guy like that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you like Shang-Chi?
I love Shang-Chi.
I thought it was really good too, but I've met a
the-
lot of people who don't like it.
It's one of the best. That year, it was the best MCU movie.
I
I
agree.
liked
Oh my god.
Three-quarters of it.
I love
Three-quarters
the
of
whole
it was
thing.
great. The ending was just kind of...
I love that movie.
So
man.
I think
I need more Shang-Chi.
this may not be a popular answer, but I think the worst Marvel movie of recent times was Doctor Strange.
The first one?
Yes.
Second one's dog shit. First one.
I didn't think it was dog shit, but definitely not great.
I guess I tend to kind of look at them like all together. Like when I think, Doctor Strange, I think both of them because it's kind of like the same story. I guess the second one was worse, but like I just thought it was like the weakest out of all of them. And
I think I preferred the second one.
really,
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the Marvel movies suffered from the fact that they were all part of the same universe and certain things were included that had to be that weren't always congruent with the storyline, that like things kind of got shoved into places. And the movies where there was more of those things trying to force the plot into it were the worst ones, and the ones that stood on their own, like one of my favorites was Winter Soldier, you know what I mean, I think were the ones that were better out of the franchise.
And that's why people liked Guardians movies.
Yeah, well, now they're like, I think they're starting to slow down, but like, because they've listened to the audience, but the multiverse stuff was just fucking dog shit. Because, yeah, we're so excited to see all those 3 Spider-Men come back, and they tried something with Multiverse of Madness, and then it was just like a mess, and they're continuing on with this. I'm like, let's make Marvel great again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I just want to see Spider-Man fighting Shocker in Manhattan. That's all I want to see. I want to see simple superhero movies. You do your Secret Wars. I know you have your big plan with RDJ. It's going to be Doom. And after that event on Battle Earth or whatever, wipe everything and then start fucking clean. Give me a new Tony Stark.
Wouldn't it be amazing if it does do that again, where everything is kind of self-contained, where it's like, oh, now just like it was when we were kids.
Will have
Here's
come
a
full
Spider-Man
circle.
movie. Here's a Punisher movie.
We will have
Just
come
back
full
to
circle.
normal.
Yeah.
Because everything was like that. And then
occasionally, because the rights are all with them now, like, okay, now you get X-Men and Spider-Man. or whatever.
That's why I love Ragnarok so much, because Ragnarok is a Thor versus Hulk movie.
Which
It's
I
a
like.
Planet Hulk
But
movie.
Doctor Strange comes and helps him for like a minute,
Yeah.
like in the books.
Yeah.
like it's like that's what I need. Like if you like the next Spider-Man movie needs to be street level, and then
It's
maybe,
going to be multiverse, they said.
and then like I really hope it's not, man.
I
God,
saw
I
an
hope
article that
probably
it's
is.
going to be like big,
I hope not.
which I'm not crazy about
like
either.
one more, give me one street level one. You barely gave us a chance to have a street level Spider-Man. Have him. You're setting up a Daredevil show with Kingpin's trying to run for mayor of fucking New York. So I'm like, perfect. Then you have Spider-Man and Daredevil doing shit together like in the cartoons.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a small scale
know?
story, like Spider-Man tracking like fentanyl dealers.
He's supposed to be your friendly
simple.
neighborhood Spider-Man, right?
But he's fucking. We saw him barely getting out of fucking Queens. Then we saw him go to fucking Italy or whatever.
He
Then
goes to Germany to fight
Yeah.
all the superheroes.
All of them.
Then he goes to
to fucking
space.
space.
Yeah.
He fights
Spider-Man
Thanos.
in
You don't-
space.
You don't fight Thanos
And then
on
he
the third
meets
movie.
all his multiverse variants.
Which I did like.
Oh,
But
it's a great.
But they have a great opportunity because at the end of that movie, when they wiped everyone's brains and shit, and at
You
the
could start
end
small.
of him,
it's a great plot device.
he's wearing the proper suit and he's swinging around like, and he's in his fucking shitty Tobey Maguire apartment, and then he's a sewing kit. He's making suits and he's fucking doing street level thing, man.
Yes.
You don't need to
Wouldn't
be
it
in
be funny?
fucking space.
He enters, he puts his box of stuff down, and it cuts to the big wide shot of the kind of like empty, dingy apartment. But then the bathroom opens up, and Tobey Maguire walks out in a towel, like brushing his teeth. Like, what are you doing here?
That'd be great.
That's all. The only cameo I was hoping for was
Rent?
I wanted him to show up fucking Mr. Dinkovich.
Wouldn't that be amazing if that was his landlord at the end?
That should
The
have
apartment
been.
that he moves into, it should have been Mr. Dickovich.
I was waiting. I was waiting for Mr. Dinkovich. I was waiting for Mr. Aziz, the pizza guy. Like, Christ, man, you're all this talent you're wasting. But whatever.
Do you think a little bit that like we as the fans are a little bit to blame for like things getting so complicated with the multiverse thing? Because like you had these standalone movies, and then everybody's like, oh well, like that doesn't really go with canon of this movie, and like what counts, and like people started connecting all these together as one big universe, and then eventually I feel like the studios gave in and they were like, all right, well then we'll lean into it, we'll go to the comic book stories, we'll make everything connected, and all the movies will be part of one big continuous universe. And then it got so complicated that they're forcing plot into it.
Well, what I think that comes from, well, obviously it comes from the comic books.
Well,
because
yeah.
those are ideas from the comic books, but in terms of film and these large amounts of money that get poured into this and raked in from it, and it's capitalism at its absolute worst.
It is.
End game. It should have been the cap on it. This experiment is over. We had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we've come out triumphant on the other end. Yeah, there's hundreds of loose ends of stories that can be told. Go read a comic book.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's take all the hundreds of millions of dollars that we pour into these and maybe make the world a better place.
Maybe.
Like, and not to say that there hasn't been movies that have come since Endgame that I've enjoyed, because there have. I just said I liked Doctor Strange 2. I liked Deadpool 3. I liked Guardians 3 was amazing.
I loved it.
But at a certain, like, there's even a part in Guardians where Peter Quill is like recounting all of what happened in Infinity War and Endgame to Gamora, and he's like bitching about it because it's complicated. That's James Gunn bitching about it, going like, can we end this fucking thing?
Do
Like,
we still have to continue this?
because Guardians 3 stands entirely on its own.
It does.
There's no reference to other superheroes at all in it. Is there? Is there any character from any other Marvel movie in that movie? Like anything left over from Infinity War or Endgame? Like,
I mean, other than like a reference, like daughter of Thanos kind
yeah,
of thing,
other
like
than
other than something
new
like
Gamora,
that, like
other than the fact that Gamora is new from Endgame.
yeah. I don't recall. I literally just watched this last week, and I don't recall
It's
any of them.
an experiment that ended so beautifully and should have ended. I remember leaving the theater with you that day and going like, how the hell do you top this?
Yeah.
Where do you go from here? And the correct answer is nowhere.
Nowhere.
You stop.
Nowhere at
You
all.
go, hey, that was great. That's like, I get when people retire, you want to like keep doing something.
Yeah.
But when you retire, you probably shouldn't go, all right, now I'm going to go be the CEO of a big company.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, maybe you should just retire and like learn to paint like you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know?
It kind of to bring it full circle a little bit, if you look at James Bond and all of the James Bond films over the years, they've continued for decades and decades and decades because they have all just shown different parts of progressing that story, and they're not all these weird, complex, intertwined, multi-movie stories. And
They made that mistake with the Craig films.
Yeah. But you can continue that same franchise indefinitely if you make these standalone movies and just continue through as they did. Look at on the TV side of it, Doctor Who, like how many different doctors they've been, and they just continue to evolve that story. And like that might not be the best example because they are all tied together, but you can have a franchise like James Bond continue for so many decades without it having to be what that Endgame Phase 5 whatever thing was.
It seems like that's what James Gunn is going to do with the DC stuff now that he's in control of it. Just tell good stories.
Yeah,
that
like
they can be
he already
loosely
said,
connected.
like the Superman movie he's doing, Batman already exists, Green Lantern exists, they all exist.
Yeah.
So like when we watch a Superman movie and we see Green Lantern show up, we're like, we shouldn't be surprised. Like, okay, cool, that's just the universe.
And that might not be the Green Lantern we get in a Green Lantern movie. X years.
It
down
can
the
just
road.
be a dude. Like it doesn't
you
have to be
have,
the same person.
You have Joker, full ado coming out soon. You have the Batman movie coming out. You also have another Superman thing coming out. That's what Marvel should be doing. Just fucking give me regular.
Just let it happen.
Great. Yeah, you're doing great with X-Men '97. That's
What
not
If was
connected
good.
to
I
this.
liked What If.
What If was great.
So
I really
much
like
fun.
that.
It's just fun stuff, and like
And
yeah,
even
every once
Loki
in a
is
while-
kind of that kind of different.
I
feel.
really liked Loki.
Loki was the best show. And I really loved WandaVision as well.
WandaVision
Yeah,
was
same.
really
Yeah,
good.
the shows are really good because they're scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they tried to like really hammer it in, they're like, yeah, this is gonna be canon. And I'm like, okay. Like, that's why I enjoyed Echo a lot because they made sure. No, like Kingpin's gonna show up later on, but it's like no connection. We're not seeing any other heroes show up. It
See
was
Daredevil?
one piece. What's that?
Did you see Daredevil?
For one 15 seconds.
Okay, because I saw a clip of him in the show, but it's like
It's-
it was
it's-
only like 15 seconds.
But that's why I like a little cameo. It's like we happen to be fighting a warehouse, and Daredevil just happens to be there taking care of business.
Just happens to.
And then with a little interaction with them, they fight a little bit, and then we don't see Daredevil.
And Daredevil just
ever again.
goes.
We were like, "Fuck off!
Wow.
We saw you for a second." That's what I want in a movie. I want to see Spider-Man fucking around, but hey, Daredevil shows up for a minute to help out the fight. It's like, hey, good shit out there, and we'll leave.
Which is the potential of James Gunn's Superman movie. Like he could run into Batman for a scene.
You never know.
And oh my God, we got an actor as Batman for one scene. Oh my
Let's not
God.
make a big deal about it. Like, yeah, sure, if the guy's good enough, then yeah, you could bring him in for something else, but you don't have to.
I feel like that's what Batfleck should have been. I feel like Ben Affleck should have been just the cameo Batman.
I love.
I wish he
Batfleck.
had gotten his own movie.
I love him, man. I love that suit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it. I really liked the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Oh yeah, that's the best
I
Batman
really like.
movie.
They're making a show about
Penguin.
Penguin
Yeah.
is coming soon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
And I've heard that Joker 2 is not getting good reviews.
yeah, but I don't trust anybody these days. The same people who said Star Wars Outlaws is trash, and that's my favorite game of the year so far.
Yeah, we can't trust people that make review-based content.
Exactly.
No.
Unless it's me. If it's me, freaking nerds me.
I think the least, like, if you got two people together who like talked about the same actor and like all of their films over and over again, they might be the least credible, right?
Who?
I don't know, like any two people that sat down and talked about the same actor's films like over and over again, like week after week
everyone has different taste, you know. It's
on like a podcast or something.
Well,
Like,
if we were we're Connery curious. We're not Connery experts. I don't really do my book work for this podcast.
I'm trying to be a little tongue in cheek funny here, and I think the joke is
Tongue-in-cheek?
just pew, it's just going over
It's all-
everybody's head.
like lasers.
Like lasers in Entrapment, which is what we're
Indeed.
actually here to talk about.
All right, let me wrap up this Wikipedia article so we can just wrap up talking about this movie and get into our ratings. Jin waits for Mac at Poodoo train station.
Poodoo train station.
Poodoo!
And one of my favorite interactions between the two of them happens at that train station where, he says, "Oh, if I'm late, I'm dead," and she's there, and it's
he's very late.
6:34, he's very late, and it's like, well, something's wrong.
Also, 6:30. God damn. Who's going to be at the... I don't want to be at the train station at 6:30. That's too early.
No,
I'm sleeping still.
No, not at all.
Jin waits for Mac and initially fears that he has been caught or killed, but he soon appears with Thibodeau, who arrests Jin. Mac admits to Jin that she had always been the target, and he has been cooperating with the FBI for some time to avoid incarceration, but that Cruz has only just been told the truth.
Who's entrapping who?
Exactly. As the train arrives at the station, Mac slips Jin a gun and documents to help her escape the country. She pretends to hold Mac hostage at gunpoint, threatening to shoot him if the agents follow her. She boards a train and the FBI heads to the next station while Mac remains behind. Jin reappears, explaining she jumped trains mid-station and is happily reunited with Mac, proposing they attempt a diamond heist together.
So they can be together for another 12 years before he dies of old age, and then she can live another entire full 50-year lifetime before, having to.
Well, she is
pass
married
away.
to Michael Douglas.
Oh yeah, and she does now have $1 billion from this heist. So
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Should buy a new husband.
yeah. You can tell that they're doing this for the love of the game. They just love stealing shit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going out for one more heist. They already got $1 billion. What else do they need?
Also, isn't it crazy that our last film was a heist movie?
Yeah, right.
Our last film was the Anderson tapes.
Oh.
Where Connery, who was also with a beautiful woman, robs. She doesn't do the robbing, but she sets him up with the score because she's in that building.
Yeah.
And they rob a big luxury condo building.
Oh,
So,
look at that.
yeah.
He's just good at thieving.
Yeah.
Shit is
Well,
dope.
not in that movie. Everything goes wrong.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Spoilers, but that's a good one.
Well,
Yeah, sorry for the spoilers. Okay, I had a question. She jumped trains mid-station. My brain was trying to wrap around that. She jumped trains. That makes sense. She jumps from one train to another. Mid-station. What does that mean?
does she mean in between stations?
Does she?
Because there's sometimes kind of like near us here, there's that kind of small platform. It's not a station. A train station is just a platform.
Yeah.
You park your car. We just did that the other day. Went to the Weezer concert. We actually were right up here.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so maybe she jumped on one of those smaller platforms and then did a quick switcheroo.
The impression
And
I
then kept
got was
going.
that she jumped from train to train, like they were passing each other and they slow down when they pass each other, and she's
She
like
jumped
in between the train cars. You know what I mean? Like jumps from one to the other.
Mission Impossible style.
Yes, exactly.
Her hair's all messed up, and she's like, "What happened? I jumped trains."
Jump trains. That's
She's
what
missing
it
an arm.
conjures to mind to me.
Yeah,
when I
it's-
jump
yeah,
trains mid station.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. But like a mid station, I think of like little platforms in between the station.
Yeah, I was trying to like, is it the fact because it's like two platforms divided by two trains? Like, did the trains cross each other slowly and she like, I don't.
I'm just picturing her. Fucking,
I'd have to watch the scene again. Do two
I'm
trains
just picturing her
pass?
fucking bang through the fucking glass, pow, and into the other fucking train.
You only see one
phases.
train coming in this direction. So I'm guessing that she might have gotten to the station and like as they're both opening their doors, she jumped from one to the next and went back. Like she beat the FBI there, maybe.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the
That's a
trains-
fast train.
I also think it was probably just a line that's meant to sound like she did something important, and then they're just like, well, I guess she just showed up.
But you guys feel my confusion. In
I
this,
do.
right?
No, I
Yeah.
definitely do.
Like it doesn't make sense. Mid-station. A station is one location. The middle of it is the train track.
Mid station.
Hey, I mean, who knows? Maybe she actually fucking jumped trains. Who knows?
Maybe she jumped.
You know, like that's all I can think of. I don't know.
Either way, I like the ending. You guys like the ending?
Oh yeah,
I like the
love
ending.
it. Like
Off into the sunset.
yeah, like I know you were talking about like you don't really feel the connection here, but there's some cute moments. I think my favorite line, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like he said something along the lines of I didn't expect you. You know what I mean? He didn't expect to like fall for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of like cute and like.
Oh yeah, he's like I thought I prepared for everything,
You didn't prepare.
but
Yeah,
I didn't prepare
but I
for
didn't
you.
prepare for you. I
didn't
love that
prepare
line.
For you. Hot
Hot
pockets.
pockets. Hot pockets.
It's the feeling of burning your mouth. And I didn't prepare for you. Hot
Yeah.
pockets.
It's more like I didn't prepare that even though the outside was nuclear, it was still ice in the middle. That's what I didn't prepare for. That's
I
every
always-
Hot Pocket experience I've ever had. I don't know about you.
I always I warm it up a little bit, then I cut a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Make sure it gets cooked
Yeah,
all the
when
way.
I used to eat Hot Pockets, I
that's
would do the
serious.
same, make a little cut.
I prefer I do surgery on my Hot Pockets.
Why didn't I never think of this? I used to cook professionally for a living. I never thought to cut up the inside of a Hot Pocket.
get a couple slits in like an apple pie, and you're good to go.
Oh.
So I used to take Hot Pockets to my job at the dispensary. So I'd have a Hot Pocket and then pot at Hocket.
That's clever.
Thank you.
I like that one. When I was working at Guitar Center, I used to walk over to the Target and get Hot Pockets or whatever.
So you
for
Target
lunch.
walk it?
Yeah.
That poor Guitar Center. I don't know how they're doing over there.
I don't know. It's been a decade since I worked there
Last
now,
time
which
I
is
went there,
ridiculous.
I went there just for something in the area, just for a simple electronics change, and it was like, where is it?
We've got fresh tumbleweeds.
Yeah, right. Like, tumbleweeds, like with a Gibson sticker on it. I was like,
Yeah,
Jesus
right.
Christ, what's going on here? Shame.
I don't know. When I left work, because I worked there until like the end of 2014. When I left, I was like, I'm not coming back here for years. And then I was back there like a month later. Like, I need strings, please. You know?
Is that where you and Sean met?
Yeah. That's where Sean and I met working
Nice.
at Guitar Center.
With
So
soup and
yeah.
Natalie?
So
used to
I
fuck
had
with Sean all the
I
time.
started working there. I moved to Rhode Island from New
you
Jersey
used
in
to fuck with
2012.
him?
I used to fuck with my Guitar Center all the time.
Oh.
Because he'd be like at the pedal area, and I would always come in, and I would hide from him first, and then when he was talking to somebody, I would ask a really stupid question in front of him to see how he would answer it, and so I'd be like, hey, so I forgot what question I would ask. It's like, hey, I need a pedal that will make a wah wah sound, but not a wah pedal.
Oh, you're talking.
And
he would have to say something like, "Do you mean an envelope filter, sir?" You know?
you can see the gears turning, and he's smirking, and he's like, okay, he wants to play this game. And I'm like, yeah, if you try an envelope filter, or maybe if you try we have a couple of flangers that might give you the tone that you might be looking for. And I'd always come.
Because Sean's so serious sometimes
Yeah.
too. He can put that serious face on and be like, "Well, you know."
So every time he saw me walking, he knew I was gonna come and ask him a stupid question. Just to fuck with him in front
fantastic.
of them to go work.
And I mean, to be fair, we didn't spend a whole lot of time doing very much work there. We played a lot of guitar. Sean, we would used to take our lunch break at the same time and try and write songs together. And then we were working on a side project together, Sean and I, and we had written I don't know, 4-ish songs that came from different sources. You know, I wrote some, he wrote some, and then one day we were sitting around in the parking lot after work, just shooting the shit. And he's like, "Why don't you just join No Plateau? We have songs that we need another person, and we can take what we want of these songs and make them into No Plateau songs." And that's kind of how it started. And then here we are, practically a decade later.
Hell yeah. Hell.
My mom is calling me.
Oh, hey,
Let me
Mom.
take this real quick.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Take quick fiber.
Oh, hold on. No, she's going to be a guest.
Oh, you're gonna keep going.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hello, it's me, Sean Connolly.
Am I catching you at Connery Curious time?
We are podcasting, yes.
I'm sorry.
You're live on the air.
Do you have anything to say on the air?
On the air?
No, we're not actually live. It'll be
It's
3 or
podcast
4 weeks.
magic.
Podcast magic.
Okay. Never mind. Just, no big deal. I'll talk to you over the weekend.
Okay, I'll just call you later.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Not a big deal. Okay?
Love you, Mom.
Love you too.
Bye.
Always nice to hear from Mama Jules.
I would have
Oh,
wanted
shit, I
to
should
know.
have said, and stay curious.
I would have wanted to know what her number rating is for Entrapment.
I don't know if she's seen Entrapment, but she did join us for The Rock, which is a very similar movie.
Yeah, she
they're very similar in feel.
Yeah, she gave his sexy a 10,
10,
for the
yeah.
sexy.
Wow.
She loved them.
Yeah. Well, should we get into our ratings?
I think
now?
so.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, So guys at home, after our discussion, we get into the ratings. Not only the film, but of course the man himself. If the SH is Hing, the sexy rating, and then the musical score of the film. We'll start off with the SH.
I like this rating system. We're rating the SH.
Yeah, because it's
How
funny.
strong it is.
When you see it, throughout the years, you see how our scores go.
Oh, I see.
It's crazy. So I think we've officially, we're gonna like kind of put this list out when we're done, because it's a perfect list to be like, I want to look at a Sean Connery movie. Here's everything I want in it. I want like a sexy Connery, but I also want like a thick accent if you're into it.
You could sell that data to cell phone companies. I'm sure they'd do something with it.
I'm sure.
All right.
Connery app.
So now I've got the ratings pulled up. So,
All right, so sorry. So
yeah.
So
Go
yes,
ahead.
we're gonna. I'll do the whole.
No, I'll leave it in.
Let's start with the SH. So we usually have our guests.
No,
start.
I want to hear you guys first because I have an idea, but I want to hear
Okay.
how you rate
Well, we
it.
usually let the guest rate first, but we'll do the first one so you get.
And then
the
I'll
gist.
do
yeah,
the rest of it,
yeah.
yeah.
So you want to give the first SH rate?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, this is late '90s Connery, definitely older. It gets it's thickest at I'm assuming-
Highlander was the thickest because he was doing an
Yeah.
accent.
Oh yeah.
And this one he's kind of going because we're establishing he's Scottish.
He is Scottish.
So so there he's like putting no effort.
canon. It's
into
part of
it.
I wonder if that was a condition of his later years. He's like, you know what? I just make me Scottish. Whatever my character is,
I
Scottish.
think because we talk about that a lot too. No matter what he's playing a British secret agent. He's playing like a Middle Eastern like king or something. He never does an accent.
I bet you they were like, oh, part of this is in London. You know what England's close to? You know who we should get? Why don't we get that fucking guy? And so they were like, let's get Sean Connery.
That'd be huge. So yeah, I think it's very thick, but I feel like the SH is not too.
I don't think he's hitting it too hard.
It's not too hard, but I'm gonna stick with a 7.5.
Wow, Mario. I'm just gonna let you know, the film afterwards and the 1, 2, 3 before it, you gave him a 9
Really?
on that SH.
I
yeah.
feel like
that's a big dip considering.
There's no words I remember him really hitting the SH on, because he's like trying to analyze.
I noticed that too. It wasn't his thickest accent.
I
can agree
I
with
try
that.
to hear him like when I'm thinking about the ratings for this. I'm like, let me pick out a word, and yeah, I feel like it wasn't as thick as it's kind of got like, I don't know, it's a little clearer for some reason. I don't know. It makes me think he really was like enjoying this movie. I don't know. Like I feel like he's just like putting more effort into. I don't know what
Do you
it
think
is.
the SH comes from like apathy?
I don't know.
Because it can't be right. Because like Finding Forrester
I think
is
it's
very good in.
intentional for sure. I think it's intentional.
But Forrester, it's super thick.
Yeah.
You're the man now, dog.
He's a recluse.
It's very, very deep. So, that's another quick note I want to make. I adore his adorable old man disguises in this movie.
Me too.
Yes.
As the
Little
old tourist
hat and like the big
Fedora.
glasses, and
and
he's
the
like
camera.
walking around and
great.
shit. Like come on, man. You're
Like old grandpa.
Like I
It's like
love
if I
that.
saw that guy, I'd be like, "Oh, that's fucking Sean Connery over there in the fedora hat." Like, you know what I mean?
Under the Fedora,
Under the
the
Fedora.
Michael
Another-
Jackson podcast. Anyway,
yes.
but yeah, he's super cute in that like
Yeah.
doddering old man get up.
But yeah, so stick with the 7.5 because there's nothing I can really grasp onto that like makes it like super SH, because it's the SH. It's not really the accent. It's just the sh. It's just all that. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 7.5 for this one. Not that bad. He put some effort in '99, I guess.
Because the accent's always been there since the beginning. It's just
Absolutely,
how thick
yeah.
that SH is that is like the underline.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. You go from a movie like Doctor No, for example, to
From
movie.
Russia with Love, the video
Yeah.
game.
Oh, From Russia with Love. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
do it
funniest
from Russia
shit.
with Love to From Russia with Love.
You ever play that game?
No, not the game.
It's on like.
So the movie's
GameCube,
from
PS2.
1963.
Yeah.
The game is from 2007?
2005?
2005.
Yeah, so they made a game.
Oh.
But it's Connery's young, but they got Connery to voice himself. So it's
that's
young
great.
Connery, but it's like, oh yeah, Bond to James Bond. It's super fucking
It's
weird.
weird, yeah.
But it's a fun game.
It is a very
Fantastic.
fun game. Check
That
out our
sounds
playthroughs on that, which we need to continue.
Yeah, I want to get back into that. But yeah, let's hear your rating. What are your thoughts on the SH?
I'm going to give it a 9.
You're gonna hit it with a 9?
Yeah, it was thick. I heard it a lot in there. But that was me.
I heard it, but
How
I
about you?
agree that it was a little lighter.
Okay, what are you gonna give it?
I'm going to go even lower. I'm going to go with a 7.
Really?
Considering Highlander being the most,
Yeah.
I think a 7 is fair because I really didn't think he hit it as hard in this movie as almost any other Sean Connery movie that I've seen.
Okay. Is there a Connery movie you can come to mind that is
I mean,
thicker?
Dr. No is a big one.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say that SH is that.
I
thick
thought so.
in
I
that
mean, maybe
movie.
it's been a long time since I watched it. I just always, I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about his movies, which ones have the strongest SH.
Yeah,
in
it's
it.
not
Like,
something you think
only we
about.
do.
Yeah, but anybody that listens to this podcast, you will never not think
Now I'm
about
gonna
it
have to think
afterwards.
about it,
Like
so.
every time you see him, you'll be like, is that what's this? A 7?
It's the SH.
All right, so 7 from you. All right, let's move on to our sexy rating. Now, the way we rate this is the sexiness of Sean Connery combined with the sexiness of the film.
Okay.
Because you can have a very sexy Sean Connery, but the film could be very unsexy. Like he
yeah.
looks good in 5 Days, One Summer, but it's a film about having an incestuous relationship with his niece. So not
Super
sexy at all.
unsexy.
Yeah.
So
I think this was a pretty sexy film in
Me
general.
too.
There's a lot of gratuitous ass shots of Catherine Zeta-Jones. There was a lot of
That butt shot.
that butt shot. Yeah, there was like when she's in London and like he steals her suitcase and she wakes up and sits up topless in the middle of the night
hell
and
yeah.
he's like, "Don't bring the gun," you know. So
Leave the cannoli.
Leave the cannoli. You know, don't bring a gun because you might have to use it.
And bring a cannoli because I'll be hungry. And my blood sugar gets low
I'm
on
never
jobs.
late. If I'm late, I'm dead.
Or hungry eating a cannoli.
Or just eating a cannoli somewhere. I've got chocolate chips on me pants.
They show up to the train station and Thibodeau's like, I brought cannolis.
Yeah, he's like covered in powdered sugar. So yeah, I'm going pretty high, and I think Connery looked good in this
He
movie
does.
for 69 years old.
Nice. That's the
yeah,
sexiest age you can be.
I think probably have to go. Considering I have zero context for any of the ratings of any of the other films, I'm just going to give it a 9.
Okay, I'm going to put 9. But you also said Dr. No.
That's true.
He's very sexy in Dr.
He is
No.
very sexy.
How's that as a comparison?
I might give him a 10 in that.
Okay,
I
cool.
might go 10.
Cool.
Yeah, I would, you see, like, my brain is so silly. I would have to go back and go through all of them and rate them and be like, now, based on context,
for
where do
sure.
I put it?
Well,
but just pulling it out of my ass, I'm going to go with a 9.
Hell yeah. I would recommend re-listening to our past episodes and,
I will.
And seeing where
I've been
we...
enjoying. I've listened to about 3 or 4 of them, like, in preparation
thank
for
you.
this, so I'm going to continue and keep up on it. I'm
Well,
definitely
let's
giving you
go.
guys a follow.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks,
that.
man. Thanks.
Mario?
All right, sexy. Yeah, so I agree full-heartedly. This is a very sexy film. I mean, the poster's sexy alone,
Yeah.
right there. And yeah,
I can imagine
Connery-
many a young teenager had that up in their dorm room.
I can.
Yeah, sure.
I can imagine
Look
them
at
getting
that look in
bullied,
his eyes.
too,
The
but
look
I
in his
can-
eyes says he did have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
Entrapping who?
but yeah, I think it's very sexy. But yeah, the whole ass with the fucking Jingle Bell fucking training sequence, and like Connery is looking very hungrily. You know, it's like, jeez.
Also, including one of the most awkward movie kisses I've ever seen, where she's basically making out with his mustache when they're in the apartment. Like,
Oh yeah, when
yeah.
she's drunk.
Yeah, Connery doesn't really go open mouth with his kisses. But yeah, it's a sexy, it's a classic sexy like heist movie. It's just like really exciting and full of classic tropes and stuff. And yeah, Connery looks like $1 million. Great hairpiece. We tend to rate the hairpiece a little bit too. But yeah, the hair looks great. Everything looks like $1 million. So I think I'm gonna go with him and give it also another solid 9.
Alrighty. Well, gents, I think I'm gonna have to beat you by a half a point and give it a 9.5.
Wow.
Because I think this is a very sexy film. I think Connery is very sexy. Catherine Zeta-Jones might be the most beautiful woman we've seen on this podcast.
Really? Okay.
I think. I mean, Diane Cannon was nothing to shy away from in the last film in the Anderson tapes.
I just have a huge crush on Ursula Andress.
It's true.
Speaking of Dr. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many other, and what's her name in Thunderball too?
Fiona Volpe.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes,
my
I forget
God.
the actress's name at the moment, but I do think Catherine Zeta-Jones might be the sexiest woman we've seen on this podcast. She's
So she bumps it up a half a point.
she's such a good actress,
She is.
and the flipping on the rafter scene
That's a
where
great
she's
scene.
explaining the painting, that might be the sexiest scene I think that might even be sexier to me than in the Anderson tapes when the camera pans down as she's taking her clothes off.
Oh yeah.
Like that is so incredibly sexy, and I think this rafter
beats it.
scene is sexier, and she's fully clothed, just
working it.
showing off her gymnast skills, showing off her acting skills, and in the scene itself, showing off her thief skills, her thievery skills.
Yes.
So
Only to be one-upped by an even wiser and sexier
Exactly.
Sean Connery.
So 2 sex symbols in this movie. Luther looks great. Ving Rhames looks great as Thibodeau. Will Patton looks great. Will Patton's very handsome with that mustache. Like
I thought he looked a little goofy with the
he
mustache.
does look a little goofy with that mustache, but I find him
He
a
reminded
handsome
me
man.
of what's that piece of shit from Forrest Bueller? Forrest Bueller.
Forrest Bueller's
I
Day
had a lot
Off.
of days off.
That was a guy who was lost in the woods during Twilight and saw, like, they saw Bella and Edward running through the forest, and he's like, Forrest Bueller needs to get back to school right now, you know?
But the principal.
I just kept taking days off.
Now, why are y'all still here? Get out of here. That's been the end of the movie.
He comes out in the robe with the toothbrush on. It's the exact same thing. And
What y'all
like
doing there? But yeah, he reminded me of the principal from Ferris Bueller.
Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, but you know,
PDF file.
some guys do well with the stash. Some people just kind of look a little off. But it just has that nerdy self to him. But it was cool. And he just turned me off in the beginning, being like, creepy.
Yes, he is a creep
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Office, you know, I
He
like
isn't the creep he is a creep in the beginning, but I'm trying to take that as he's acting.
Yeah.
It's the role that was written for him. I don't know if Will Patton was a huge actor at the time, and he's like, I'm acting in a film with Sean Connery. Just give me the lines.
Yeah, I
Like-
would do the same.
Yeah.
What else do we rate on?
All right, our next rating,
The final one, well, before we get to the bigger ones.
musical score. We've got 3 ratings left. Our next one is our musical score. What did you think of the musical score, Aaron?
I thought it
We're
fit,
all musicians in this room.
I
What'd
thought
you
it
think?
fit the film really well.
And who did the score, by the way? It is score by Christopher Young, who we've heard before. He did the score for Memories of Me. No, I'm sorry, Playing by Heart. Playing by Heart.
So I mean this as a compliment. Nothing stood out in the score to me as like out of place. Like it all felt like it was part of the movie, and I think that's what makes a good movie score. Yes, there's movies that have iconic like pop songs that kind of drive home the point, but I think for a score for an action movie like this, it should blend in and become part of the movie, and I think that did a very good job of that. It didn't stand out. It's not what's his name, Williams, you know? So
John Williams?
Yeah, John. It's not John Williams. Names escape me sometimes, but
The most
I'm gonna give
common
that
name
one.
in the world.
Yeah, you know, that's how my brain works. I'm gonna give it a 8.5.
Okay.
Okay.
8.5, Mario.
All right, me, I think I'm gonna hit it with an 8, being kind of same reasons where it's like it's good stuff for like it's very fitting into the movie, but like, again, nothing like it's not like a James Bond theme. I'm not humming the music coming out, but I am loving that Seal tune at the
I was
end.
just about to
what's
say
the name
Seal
of
at
that
the
movie?
end. I forgot it.
Seal with fucking what's the name of the song? It's like Lost My Faith or something like that.
Yes.
That's a great tune.
That was a good ending movie.
Yeah.
I mean, ending tune for the movie.
Yeah, because I was like listening. I'm like, oh shit, man! It's like it goes hard. We don't get that very often in movies anymore. Like, yeah, we have certain movies that have like certain songs in them
Yes,
now.
Lost My Faith.
Lost My Faith, but like, yeah, you don't get that nice theme. Like, when I think of Seal, I'm gonna think about this movie, but I always think about
Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah,
Yes.
Batman Forever.
Batman
course.
Forever.
Yeah.
So like,
Such a weird movie for that song.
And remember the video was in front of the bat signal. He's,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the 90s. I mean, we were just talking about Prince of Thieves with fucking Brian Adams at the end.
Brian Adams.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
he-
insane. It's insane shit.
everything I do.
I do it for
Yeah,
you.
that's from Prince of
Yes,
Thieves. I
that's
had no
great.
idea.
Some songs, man.
And then
never-
you get like
never realize.
Jimmy Page and Puff Daddy on like the Godzilla soundtrack. Mission Impossible. The Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack is nuts.
Yes.
You've got Foo Fighters and Chris Cornell and Metallica and Kid Rock. Like and Hole. Like you got some weird. It's so weird. The 90s are weird for music and movies.
But yeah.
So, all right, 8 from you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
It is serviceable. That's
I
like
think I would have given it a 7 too, but Seal gave me an extra point.
Yeah,
fair enough. Okay, you know
Yeah.
what? Then I'll give it a 7.5 for Seal.
Oh, nice.
There we
He
go.
does
I think that's fair.
A bit, yeah. It's serviceable.
Yeah, it blends in. It does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it raises your heart rate when it needs to. It lowers your heart rate when
Yeah.
it needs to.
I think the difference between that 8, 8.5, and a 10 is like the John Williams thing, where like, okay, you take that serviceable movie score and you make it memorable in a way that it sticks with people.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody who grew up in the same time frame as we did doesn't hear dun, 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 and like have some kind of feeling inside.
Yeah.
You know, this movie didn't do that, but it did exactly what it needed to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's John Williams for you, man. Fucking Jaws. Dun, 2 notes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that man himself is just, glorious.
Legend.
But, like, yeah, but every once in a while, sometimes you need that kind of oomph in some movies. But, like, this one didn't need crazy music.
No.
Like,
We don't need, like, Adele crooning a song in the beginning.
Yeah.
It could have benefited from like a David Arnold, though.
Yeah,
I
love David Arnold.
I think it could have benefited from, like, when they first got into Malaysia and, like, met up, like, some upbeat, like, 80s tune. You know what I mean?
You know what would have been great? Once they get to Malaysia, Iron Maiden's Virtual 11 starts
Oh, look at that.
That would
playing. Just in its entirety. And it's louder than the dialogue.
The whole album.
They should have put in, it's an older Iron Maiden's tune, they should put 2 minutes to midnight in that.
Oh my god, why didn't they?
Oh, my God.
That's amazing. Why didn't they do that?
That's
Somebody on the production must have been a fan to have put that poster in the shot.
hanging on the side of like 2 minutes to midnight. That would have been fucking heavy metal.
That would have been awesome. Cut a Bruce Dickinson scream as they. All right, so we've got our final 2 ratings, and
These are the big ones.
these are the most important ones. We'll leave it up to you. Do you want to rate Sean or the film first?
I will rate Sean first.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
All right. What are you gonna give our boy Sean Connery?
So, on the basis of quality of performance,
Yes.
on the basis of how well he played the part that they gave him,
And how much you liked.
how much
seeing
I
him.
actually liked seeing him, I'm actually only going to give him 7.5.
What? Really?
Now, yes.
Wow.
The reason being, I don't think this was a particularly Sean Connery version of Sean Connery in this movie. I thought he played the part very well. He did what was asked of him. But I thought there were times where I felt like it could have been a different actor in there, and it might have had a similar effect. Whereas there's certain things like nobody else could play Indiana Jones's father. That is Sean Connery. I didn't feel like he became the role. I feel like he played the role pretty well.
Okay.
Do you know who they would have gotten to do this role if Connery didn't do it? Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, I could have seen that.
And the only reason I thought of that is because, like, you've got Ving Rhames, a younger black actor, and Sean Connery, an older white actor. And my mind I just thought of the movie Bad Company, starring Chris Rock and Anthony Hopkins.
That could have worked.
It's not a great movie, but
You know who would have been hilarious? Chris Farley.
as the
It's just
Sean
a total
Connery role.
throwaway.
Now, that's something you'd see as like an MTV Video Awards sketch or something.
Yeah, that's like the spoof movie they make of it a year later. That's not a direct spoof, but like everybody knows
Exactly.
It's a spoof. Like,
What were you thinking, Mara?
I think Chris Farley would be so fucking pissed off. Like, I'm thinking about the scene when she comes back. It's like, I broke the vase. And Connor goes, what? Like,
what? You can just picture him going.
He's fucking breaking the car. He's like, what the fuck you made?
Or him in the Catherine Zeta-Jones role for the spoof.
Fat guy in a little jumpsuit.
Fat guy under little lasers. And that's the butt shot.
It's badass.
And the scene where he breaks the vase, he's breaking everything by accident. Oh no.
He doesn't realize he got the film canister because he tripped and fell on it, and it like got stuck in his like shirt or something. You know, but he got it anyways, but he didn't realize he dropped it. You know.
And in the Connery role, it's Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh my god.
Hey, I'm the thief here. I know my stuff. You don't give me no respect.
Give me no respect at all here.
All right, Mario, Sean Connery rating.
Man, I think Connery's dope in this. I think he's reserved. He's not rapey. I was like,
Thank God.
Don't be rapey,
Thank
Connery.
God.
Thank God. You know, I was like, you know, it's very
Some of these later 90 films,
to
he
be
can
to be contemporary with the kids, very demure, very mindful. You know, it was like a new TikTok.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
on fleek, you might say.
he's on fleek.
You might.
That's new, right?
I haven't heard fleek in a while.
I know.
Fleek would be dead. Let's bring fleek back.
Well, you know, you've got millions on the TikTok, so why don't you tell us the latest slang?
Oh, I have no idea. I just make videos and hope people like them.
Let's see what happens. But yeah, I think he's awesome in this. I really enjoy him in this, and older Connery is just something special about him. So I think for that, I think I'm gonna hit it right on the head with a 8.5.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna have to up you guys one more time. I'm gonna go an 8.75.
Whoa, 7.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, before we get into our final rating, the film rating, I must ask, you mind if I take a Connor P?
Sure.
If you guys would like to continue discussing in any way, you can, or we can pause. It's up to you.
We can just pause.
Okay, we'll pause.
We pause.
I'll be right back.
I think the time may be running down on my time this
Well,
evening.
we've got one rating left, so that and the spinning of the wheel, and we're done.
All right, let's
Yeah,
run.
do your thing.
We're back.
All right.
We're back in time for our final rating.
Final one.
Usually the Sean is our final rating, but this is the film rating.
Film itself.
Our final
rating.
rating.
Entrapment.
Go ahead, bud.
I am going to give the film the same rating as I give Sean, 7.5.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Reason being, I thought the movie was good. I don't think it was great, but I also really enjoyed it. I just think it was one of those formulaic action movies at the time, which there's nothing wrong with that. I really genuinely liked the movie. But amongst the cohort of other 1999 films, I feel like it had more potential. So I'm going to go with a 7.5.
Okay.
Again, I very much like the movie. Whether or not I like it has no bearing on my rating. I'm trying to go clinical and just judge it as, on paper, the film.
Okay.
I think I'm going to agree with you. Also, 7.5. I think it's a really good movie. I think I was left wanting more.
Yeah.
Like some sections of it, I'm like, there's something, I don't know what it was.
I feel like some of it was weak, like the premise a little bit, and they didn't quite drive home some of the points that I think were important to the story of the movie.
Yeah.
It felt like The Mask was the big heist. And then to have it like thrown off, like, oh, there's a bigger heist. It did take away a little bit of the.
Yeah, at a certain point, there's diminishing returns on the amount of heists you can put in one
That's
movie.
the one we're building up for. We're doing the whole laser thing and all this. Like, we're gonna get that fucking mask.
There was
then,
zero practice for the run at the bank. You know,
he
what I mean?
wanted to. He was like, we at least take
3 weeks.
3 weeks to prep this. She's like, no, we gotta do this like tomorrow. He's like, it's not gonna happen. Are you serious?
And then
But
she
they-
goes, well, how about half? He's like, well, it'll happen tomorrow. Then.
I'll do it.
For $4 billion? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like I feel like there's like a little. I don't know what it was. I was like wanting more from it, but I think it's still a solid film. So I'm gonna stick with that 7.5 as well.
Gentlemen, I'm going to match you.
Oh.
7.5 from all of us.
We're all in agreement. Does that happen often, or is that rare?
Yeah, that's actually pretty rare.
India.
You and I will agree more.
But Last Crusade, we had
Tens.
two. We had 2 guests.
Yeah.
And I think we're all 10s. I think on that, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe a little lower.
I think
The Last
hold on.
Crusade, I think, is a 10.
It's
Oh
such a
yeah,
good
no,
movie.
I didn't give it a 10.
But we put that movie over.
Last Crusade, if I can find it. Well, we all gave Sean a 10. I gave Last Crusade a 9. That's because I think Raiders is the better film.
Well, I think Raiders is a better film, too.
Yeah.
But I think Raiders is a 10.5.
Fair enough. Well, we did. Mario and I both gave in Last Crusade. We gave him 10.1 in the sexy rating
Yeah.
so that it could just boost
Just
it.
bump it up a little bit.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
'Cause you got Harrison Ford, you got
That's the
Allison
pinnacle.
Doody.
Come
yeah.
on.
So 7.5 from me as well.
All right.
I think I agree with you, Mario. It left me really wanting more. And yeah, it could have been more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been.
But I'd come back to it. I would watch this film again.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. Absolutely.
I would.
Yeah. And I would recommend it to people as well.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, my original rating was going to be a 7.25, but it gets an extra quarter point because
Seal.
no, because there's a poster of Iron Maiden's Virtual 11.
Conrad Marine.
Actually, did you see the Seal music video for this song? He's performing in that building that they rob in front of a poster of Iron Maiden's Virtual 11.
Which is actually hilarious because when I saw Iron Maiden perform Virtual 11, they had a poster of this fucking movie behind them on
And
stage, and I
Seal.
didn't even realize.
And Seal was photoshopped into each of them.
Yeah. A kiss from a rose.
It's a rose by any other smell. Alrighty, so
All right, guys, with all those ratings finally locked into the list, that means one more thing before we get out of here. We go to wheelofnames.com to spin the Wheel of Curiosities to figure out what movie we're covering next week. But it won't be us spinning. What will it be, Dylan?
no, it won't. It will be our guest spinning. But before we do that, we always look at what's left. And we say what we want next. Now that you've said that all of No Plateau should come in for Highlander 2, I really want Highlander 2
I would
now.
love for that to happen.
I still really want Time Bandits. There's nothing I don't want. Everything sounds good. How about you, Mario?
Same here. I think I really want to see Marnie for some reason because it's one of the last young Connery.
And a Hitchcock for Halloween.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
there you
cool.
go.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm curious about Time Bandits as well.
Me too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think
Especially like a Monty Python-esque kind of comedy.
yeah, it's gonna be like
like-
funny.
Sounds very different from
Yeah.
Connery.
It's directed by Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, so I'm into that.
How about you? Anything you're interested in?
I mean, I'm looking forward to Highlander 2. I think that'd be great.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to get everybody in here.
Hell
But
yeah.
Time Bandits as well. I saw that on the list and I was like, that sounds interesting. But this one I felt was a little more up my alley. So we'll see.
Hell yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to switch seats. You're going to come over here and you're going to hit that shuffle button a bunch of times, right? And then after that, we're going to do this fun ritual where... Oh, hold on.
Ooh, the
There we
driver's
go.
seat.
Hey.
This feels nice.
After that, we do this fun little ritual where we summon the wheel through a chant that you'll join us with. It's very
I
easy.
see.
Yeah, so just shuffle until Mario call it.
And maybe one more. Yeah, right there.
Awesome.
All
How many?
right.
Oh, don't click it yet. Don't click it
Oh,
yet.
nope.
How many entries do we have left on that?
10.
Oh my God.
10
which means we have
entries.
11 movies in total remaining.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there's one movie off that list. It's Sir Billy. It's his final movie.
And I do see both Time Bandits and Highlander 2 on the wheel.
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought him up.
There we go.
So, we're going to do a little chant. You're going to join us in this chant, and you're going to pick it up real easy. We don't even have to do a practice run. You're going to
Just
figure
go
it out
for it. I'll jump
real
right in.
easily, And when we hit the last word, you're going to hit that wheel.
All right.
Mario, Aaron, are you ready to spin the
Wheel
Of Curiosities.
Oh my God!
Oh my God, we spun Highlander! You guys have to get wait.
It's time!
We'll have to wait till I get back from vacation, but yes.
When do you get back from vacation?
End of this month. So
Awesome.
we'll have to look at sometime in October.
That's totally fine.
But
Perfect.
all right.
That is
That'll
totally
be so
fine.
fun. I would love to have all of No Plateau. I know schedules are crazy, but if we at least get Sean and I think we would have a lot of fun. I would love to have John and Christian.
Same, dude.
Especially because Christian is such a character too.
Oh, Christian's
And
a blast. John's a blast.
I love how John, like, you know, obviously once somebody gets to know him, it's a little different. But in like certain settings,
He's a little
he's
more
quiet
reserved, yeah.
until he says something, and it means so much more because you're like, whoa, like that's impactful. Like I love
And
them
hilarious.
both. Yeah, and hilarious. John's a funny motherfucker
Yeah.
too.
And so fucking talented as
Yes,
a songwriter. too.
extremely. Oh my god. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
this will be a lot of fun. I'm looking
Highlander
forward to
2
that.
is going to be our next one. High five.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Highlander 5.
Highlander high five.
High five, Lander.
This is great. Well, thank you guys very much for having me. I very much appreciate being on the show.
Of course. And before you go, you've got to tell people about your podcast. You got to tell our listeners about your podcast.
That's correct. So I am the co-host of a podcast with my good friend Cass Caduto called Fuck the Plan. Both Cass and I have ADHD and figured out about it later in life, and we gave up careers that were driving us nuts and paying us more money to do things that pay us a little bit less, but we're happier with ourselves and with our lives. So we try and encourage everybody to say, fuck the plan, forget about the correct quote-unquote way of doing things, and do things in a way that makes you happy in your life, because that really should be the ultimate goal. So please check out Fuck the Plan. We are on every streaming service that you can think of. We are also located at theadhdproject.com. Please check us out.
I said you were on the TikToks, so you've got quite a following on there.
Yeah, I believe
You got
so.
some millions of views, dude.
I started the ADHD Project just because I was learning so much about myself and my ADHD brain at 30 years old, and I figured there's got to be something I can do to share this with more people and help other people learn what I have. And so that's kind of where it started, and then eventually the podcast came out of it, and here we are all this time later. So having a lot of fun and meeting a lot of people, talking to a lot of people, and hopefully doing some good in the world.
Perhaps a crossover episode?
Perhaps. I think I do see that in the
you
future.
Joined us, maybe we join you.
I absolutely see that in the
And
future.
Cass is an awesome human being. I love
Wonderful
chatting
person.
with her. So talented as well.
Yeah, again, very good. It works. The podcast works because Cass and I are able to have that like kind of banter, and it's like I feel like we very often like kind of pick up on where the other is going with it. So I personally have a lot of fun doing the show, and I actually listen to our episodes, not in like a weird like egomania kind of way, but in like a, hey, I think this is actually pretty cool kind of way. So I encourage everybody to check it out.
Yeah, man.
It's a good podcast. Definitely check it
We've
out.
loved seeing you grow on it, man, because I've been seeing a lot of your shorts and other stuff like that. I'm like, wow, it's like really
He's right there wearing
professional,
them.
really-
Thank you.
Those great shorts. But yeah, man, you're like, it sounds great, it looks great, and like,
And Vinny does a great job producing
Vinny,
for you.
shout out to Vinny Bellows,
Vinny's
man.
the man.
Vinny's a magician, man.
Absolutely.
He has an adorable dog.
He does.
We love Chip. Shout out to Chip. But yeah, man, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have
course.
you on.
Genuinely.
Very happy to be here.
So Sean Connery will return, and
With
hopefully
another Sean.
and and hopefully at a band. This is gonna be crazy.
God.
With Highlander 2 until
The Quickening.
then. The Quickening.
Wow.
I'm
Oh,
excited
and two
for it.
versions too, right?
We'll discuss that.
We'll have to
with
send
our
it out.
guests.
We'll have
Yeah.
to send it out to everyone.
But we'll see you guys then. Until then, I've been Mario Lima.
And I've been Dylan Titus.
I'm Aaron Frank.
And as always, folks,
Stay curious.
I know I will.
There it is. Beautiful.
You've been listening to Connery Curious, a Titus Compositions and Friggin' Nerds Media podcast. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Connery Curious for updates, memes, and episode clips. You can also visit Dylan on Instagram at Titus Compositions to hear other podcasts and original music, watch music videos, or even pick up a great vinyl record. For more discussion about your favorite films, comics, and games, and a network for all things nerdy, visit me, Mario, at Friggin' Nerds Media. You can rate, review, and share the podcast in-app, which helps us grow the show and reach other curious Connerys out there. Thanks for spending time with us. Have a great day, and remember, stay curious.